towards the Callista, but we'll have to see exactly what these teams want to go towards.
We'll see what they want to do for it. Again, Zeri has just been perma-banned pretty much across all 4 major regions. It has not really been let up. And when it does get let out, you regret it. You regret it pretty much instantly.
I love this from Rare Adam, though. They banned the Poppy, so now you take the Zeri or the Wukong. So now RNG kind of go, okay, well, we want one of these big picks as well, so we're not going to choose one of the lesser evils. We're actually going to make sure that we can get one of these dominant picks. So I imagine with the way the Rare Adam played, they will go, towards the Zeri for iBoy, which means it leaves the Wukong open for Wei here without that Poppy counter pick really being available. And we'll have to see what the game plan is here then for Gala in that bottom side of the map.
Well, that's the Zeri locked in, but Talia does go over now to RNG. We know, again, you mentioned it, never seen a 0-4 Talia be so influential in those mid-game fights against EDG and Xiaohu. Very comfortable on this, especially when you combo it with something like a Wukong. The combination of that mid-jungle 2 is just insane as well in the early game.
Yeah, and now we're going to see the Nar being picked up here for Rare Adam as well. Just an easy blind pick, no real bad counters in the top side. And again, I think with the way that this team fight is set up for RNG, the fact that you have this Talia now who can throw down the Unravel Earth 80 carry, and I played a handful of Sivir games, and she is terrifying. The amount of push she gets in lane, the fact that you're able to consistently get these ricochet blades off, bouncing back and forth in team fights, specifically around like neutral objectives wherever it's clumped, her late game damage is terrifying.
Yeah, it really, really is. It always was, but I think the thing is now is that they have moved her away. Again, she received a little bit of a mini rework or update, shall we say. Not going to go into nitty-gritty, but basically moved her away from lethality into crit, back into that big late game carry like you were just mentioning. And now for RNG, honestly, I think they're very happy with what they've got, but I think that Rare Adam have some fantastic answers for them. We know how powerful the Gnar is on this patch. We've seen many and many champion and top laner do so damn well on this pick, and for Zeri and Viego as well, you're going to be in a lot of good standing if you can get those small kind of tight corridor skirmishes that you want for RA.
They just really need engage on Rare Adam's side. Like, you don't have a guaranteed one with with the Gnar. So I'm really curious to see how they round this out. I feel like something like a Nautilus or something along the lines of a Leona could be great, but it's always a little bit wonky when you're up against the Sivir because of the spell shield. So Alistair may actually be the answer here for Rare Adam. Alistair's always been a traditionally really strong pick into the Sivir because you headbutt, pulverize. Only one of the headbutts can actually be stopped by the spell shield, so it gives you the actual engagement you need. And honestly, being able to maybe take Wukong out of these fights, knock him back out before he can get a second Cyclone off, can be really good in a more defensive route as well. So it looks like Rare Adam might be eyeing that up, especially with the Nautilus ban here, but we'll have to see.
See what they want to go for. As I said, the Nautilus been banned away by Rare Adam. As I said, the Alistair very much an option here for RNG. You would imagine they will go towards their support pick here. Or actually, technically, they go towards top lane. They know it's going to be a Gnar. So pick up the top lane here, then leave the support for counter. And honestly, breathe on something like a Jax. We know how powerful he can be, and that's exactly what we're going to go for. So again, more just lane power coming out from RNG.
Exactly, and it means that as well, like, you've got the ability for Breed to kind of take over the lane on the top side by himself, and then you should be relatively fine to, when he comes into team fights, set him up because of the engage options that you have from the Wukong. Leona, though, going to be potentially covered here. I still think the Alistair's the best bet. Rakan, it still can be difficult to land the charm to allow you to get the lockup later, especially when you look towards Sivir having the extra move speed coming through from the ultimate. So we'll have to see how effective Yanja can be, but at least it's adding that engage that Rare Adam desperately need here.
Yeah, you want a little bit of engagement. Rakan's got some plenty of it, and of course, it goes kind of synergize well with things like this area, kind of moving in, getting on top of people, and kind of fighting in and out fight. We will see the Victor coming in here as the answer into Talia. Victor slowly making his way back up into the meta. It is just a standard control mage, can take over a game at those later stages, but very difficult to really gank. But also not really one that can roam around that often either.
No, it's one that's definitely more mid lane focused. That can have some decent pushing matchups, and that's kind of where a lot of his strength comes from. But against the Talia still should be able to shove, and we know what Xiaohu's like when he's able to get these roams off. So I like what RNG have got here. Two strong side lanes that you can play around, a great late game carry, which has pretty much become the staple in RNG's compositions. And that's why oftentimes when they talk about, oh, well, we don't really mind if we lose the early game, we're still going to be fine late game, it's because oftentimes we see Breathe and Gala on these late game threats like the Jaxes, the Gwens, the Jinxes, the Felioses, and now just another one for the back pocket of Gala is this Sivir.
Yeah, and I think as well, we can kind of talk about this, RNG composition as well, and then talk about how it's very reminiscent of 2021 RNG, where they were kind of seeing Wei and Ming linking up, getting themselves together, either working with Xiaohu or trying to work out with Breed, and leaving Gala on a little bit of an island. And honestly, you'd feel like that would be a bad thing for Gala, but you looked up a little bit of a stat at about solo kills, and for an AD carry, the man's just nuts.
Yeah, Gala has the 4th most solo kills in the league right now, which is absolutely absurd. Yeah, I think, what was it? He's only behind the Shy, Knight, and I cannot for the life of me remember who the third person was, but 10 solo kills as an AD carry is insane. So definitely the fact that he's managed to pick up a lot of these is absolutely spectacular, and it does kind of show that an awful lot of the times he is kind of being left to his own devices, but being able to find these moments in lane where he can go aggressive, especially on things like the Aphelios. But we'll have to see how he does on the Sivir, because Sivir, less of a champion that has that agency. She definitely likes a team that can try and enable her, which is why I like things like the Leona being here, because she wants someone who can kind of start the fight off, allow her to approach, because she's an incredibly short-range AD carry, so you definitely need people that can get the fight started. So Wukong, Leona, going to work perfectly here, and Rare Adam will need to make sure that they're keeping themselves safe.
We'll have to wait and see how it all ends up fanning out. We are jumping onto the Rift for game 1 of this best of 3. Of course, it is going to be RNG versus Rare Adam. Rare Adam need a win. It cannot be overstated. If you're going into the final 5 games of the split at 2 and 9 on your scoreboard, that is not where you want to be, especially for a team that made playoffs in spring. And for RNG, it's about keeping the pressure on those top 3. They are 1 loss down, but they still have to play JDG later on in this week, I believe. So plenty to be coming out here from the side of RNG, the MSI champions. And yeah, we're going to see a defensive rune kind of set up in the top side. Cube going towards that fleet footwork, pretty centered, and Grasp the Undying for Breed. So both sides kind of recognizing that as long as they don't lose too much health in the skirmishes, there's no real kind of kill pressure in the 1v1 unless we see a massive all-in.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, the only place that there is really the kill pressure is potentially topside, but that's more when you're looking at like level 8, level 9, potentially even waiting for that first item to come through realistically before Breed can have that kill pressure there. It's all for those initial few resets that Cube should be able to keep an advantage for himself, just because he's got the range and can generally hop away from Breed. But you do just be so careful of the counter-strike when you're trying to go for trades here as Cube. But I am really going to be focused on what Wei is doing in the early stages with Xiaohu, because you've got a ton of pressure with this mid jungle. Great skirmishing, great pressure, great gank setup with Xiaohu as well. It all works really neatly here for RNG, and Strive and Leanne just can't really match that aggression.
Can't really match it, and let's set up exactly where, because we haven't really talked about the junglers as such, really. We all got the Viego versus the Wukong kind of becoming the new trade back as such. We saw something similar in spring, where we just kind of had the junglers kind of going for these 2 very solid picks. Where do we expect to see them kind of, they're both starting on the bot side, moving up to the top. Do we expect to see anyone kind of going for any big moves in the early game, or just kind of standard laning phase until, like you said, you hit those level 6 and those first items?
I honestly think for Leanne, the best bet is to try and wrap back around towards your bot side of the map. You have Breathe with a decent push in top side here. Talia will have full push mid, and if you ever try to contest where Wei is, it's going to get really, really tough for you to try and get a scuttle crab for yourself. But it looks like he's actually just going to go straight up towards his top side, so I'm pretty sure Wei's going to be able to get, honestly, both scuttles if he wants to, or maybe even just take top scuttle, and with Gala and Ming having push on bot side, they can rotate over and take this bottom scuttle crab. So it's a bit of a difficult time for Leanne at the moment with, bot and mid having almost guaranteed push generally because of the matchup. And in theory, Cube should have push top, but he's actually in a little bit of a bad spot, so going to be just backing away from this one.
Yeah, as you said, you got Xiaohu roaming up. You can see Wei just said, look, I'm going to take the scuttle. I will say Leanne, though, in a decent position to be able to get a bit of a kind of a power lead, I suppose, over Wei, as he is a level up, so he's just going to be able to run straight in through the mid lane and get himself the scuttle down bot side. But as you mentioned, Gala and Ming have already roamed themselves down, so there's not even an objective there. So really nice call here from RNG, and this is kind of just, it's just kind of par for the course of how they like to play the game. This is very RNG-esque because they just play it so smartly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think for Leanne, the biggest thing you need to do in this scenario is try and desync from Wei. And generally what that means is just like, okay, well, I'm going to take a bit of a funky path in here, so then I actually amn't just matching Wei as he goes through his camps. Now, he should have a bit of an easier time because Wei is a little bit slower. Like, Wei hasn't got his reset in here, which means naturally he should kind of be out of rhythm with Wei as he goes through his camps. And that's where maybe he can try and make a couple of cross maps. Because realistically for Lien, you do not want to try and match Wei in any of these ganks. Wei is just so much stronger. He's able to bring a lot more damage to the table. He's got the beefiness coming into the kit because of the passive. And also, pretty much every lane has great setup for him. So you definitely do not want to end up in that situation as Lien.
Yeah, well, we do have a bit of a pause coming in. Of course, we do apologize. We saw this the last time. RA did have some connection issues, and this has been a pretty consistent thing for them. So hopefully it will just be organized and set up very nicely without any real problems. And unlike the last time, I will say, against BLG, there wasn't a big team fight literally about to happen. So it's probably the best time it could probably happen. So, of course, we do apologize, and we'll get back to you guys in the game as soon as we possibly.
A really interesting thing that I learned the other day.
Just
because it's Rare Adam as physics. There is very unique moments where, you know the way computers work off of 0 and 1s, it's all binary code. Well, there's very unique moments where a solar flare can actually hit one of those digits out of order, and that's why you can get these really weird moments where like PCs and computers don't work properly. So this is obviously what we're seeing for Rare Adam, because Rare Adam are obviously the physics of
my mind, right? So I realized now you meant an actual solar flare.
Yeah, an actual, not Leona's solar flare. An actual solar flare from the sun can cause a single like minuscule molecule to end up hitting the wrong thing on a PC, and your PC can just go completely kaput. And there's actually been like recorded instances of this where like computers have just completely failed because of it, which is why like as the like people kind of go, maybe we shouldn't completely rely on computers for everything, because they're not fail safe.
No, there is just that's just physics, really. It's just kind of the way the universe works. It's like
it's a rare. It's not quite a Rare Atom, but it's rare enough, and it's close enough to a Rare Atom.
enough for it to be relevant today. It's kind of like null zones. Ever see null zones where it's like if you have a frequency, so it's basically it's if you have a sound on a frequency and it's very high pitched and very like annoying, but if you get the exact same one, but just I think it's like a slightly, it basically it ends up kind of like hitting the same frequency, and it'll nullify it out, so both end up basically making no noise. But as soon as you turn one off, it'll be back to high pitch.
That's how noise cancelling headphones work, right?
Yes, roughly speaking, yes. They pick up whatever so if you're using them on a plane, you don't hear anything in the background, because the plane noise is basically just like a constant basically, and they're able to kind of match it.
Oh, and look, we're gonna have to go back to the game, because we're gonna need to noise cancel the groans that are coming from the audience about our random
the resident sleepers.
But look,
we're just nerds. We're just nerds, all right.
Realistically, though, I think coming back in towards the game, this is going to be interesting to see how Rare Adam trying to combat what RNG can do, because we've said already and we've seen already that RNG are very, very good when it comes to the mid-game point. It's about trying to rattle them in the early game enough that you can get these leads. But the biggest thing that I've seen with Rare Adam is that they try to heavily rely on these like weird invade timings from Lien, like catch more or get like the jungle ahead in a lot of situations. But I just don't really feel like they have the control here. With the Talia mid being able to push in, the bot lane Sivir being able to push in as well to try and make that happen. So I really want to keep an eye on Lien to see if he can try and maybe get some, deep vision in the enemy jungle, try and see if he can spot out exactly where Wei is, and then find these moments where he can try and play in towards the bottom side of the map, maybe look for a gank in the mid lane where Wei isn't able to respond, and try and get these lanes snowballing ahead, because otherwise you do just run the risk of, falling to the push from Sivir, falling to this Jax having a good matchup in the top side, especially as that lane scales on, and you just don't really get a look into the game.
Yeah, I think the big thing that we look at, especially when we look at RA, is Lien is the catalyst of this team. They have very good, moments in the split so far where they've said, Lien gets up top side, gets a kill, comes back, gets another kill, and, able to kind of move that advantage around the map to help the rest of his lanes. But also we've seen it where he goes a little bit too far ahead and ends up kind of getting himself caught out, ends up going a little bit too hard, because it feels like he has to right now. It does feel like when you look at so many of our top teams, top esports, V5, JDG, and even RNG, they have multiple lanes of which they can carry. Pretty much every lane is somewhere that can have a pop-off moment at any single time. And it does feel like for RA, it is very much resting on Leyen. And as you say right now, even in this game, it is going to be on him in this early game to disrupt the comfort of RNG, to disrupt what they want to try and achieve. Because like you said, if this goes later and later and later, yes, you do have a Victor and a Zeri, and you're not going to be doing bad. But like we mentioned in draft, you're very, very short range. So very difficult to actually get on top of people. And even with the engage you have with the Rakan, you drop down the work ground and you're able to, just kind of stop that Rakan engage completely sometimes. So you're going to have to pick and choose where you come for these fights.
Yeah, and I think that's why we've actually started to see Rare Adam struggle as much as they have been. Because when you look towards the way that they want to play, it's about enabling Lien, make sure that he's able to do the things he wants to do. But when you look at what the champions have been played and made for Strive, it's been a lot of Corki. It's now things like the Victor. Like we've been seeing a lot of stuff like the Azir has been coming through as well from. Like it hasn't exactly been the most aggressive or most controlling of mid laners to try and facilitate what Lien wants to do. And I think that's why we're seeing them struggle so much, is that like, although that has been the playstyle, and that was even honestly the playstyle from the last split, we haven't really seen that all come together. And a lot of what we oftentimes when we look at them in spring was, hey, they're going for these invades, but they tend to have little like pockets of skirmishes rather than full-on 5v5 team fights, and everything's very spread out. So champions like Azeri, for instance, can do very well in that scenario because she's able to hop over walls, she can play to her strengths, she has a lot of mobility, she's very easy able to focus down one target, which is what Azeri really enjoys. But when you look at things like a Victor, when you look at things like the Corki, he's much more suited for the team fights. Those AoE rockets, the phosphorus bomb, all this kind of stuff then becomes more of a play. So, and that's where and he's not honestly as good in skirmishes, particularly in the early stages. So I think that's why we've seen Rare Adam struggle, is not being able to find the champions that fit the meta to suit their style, and they haven't really brought anything new to the table because their team fighting all out was never as strong as it was. And now that team fighting has been played into more and more with these late game scaling champions, Rare Adam have kind of just drifted further and further away from what they wanted to be able to do.
Yeah, it does feel like Rare Adam, as you say, struggling with what they can and cannot do, really kind of figuring out their own limits and saying, look, we just don't feel comfortable at the moment with how we want to play the game and what is optimal to play the game as it ends up coming out there. But do have a slight update. Of course, we do have a network issue for Rare Adam. If you're just joining us, the game has started, but we are investigating the network issue and hopefully going to resume the game very, very shortly. Again, we do apologize for the delay, but these things happen. Unfortunately, it is the territory that is with the remote play, of course. I think every single team is playing on remotely right now, but looks like we're going to see some team stats coming out here from RNG. So here we go. So we can see there lots of kind of a set style really coming out in that top side of mid lane, like you said.
Yeah, and I think this is the really cool thing about RNG is like how they decide to play their game. Because when we talk about late game, we often kind of look at like the bridges that you need to get to that later portion of the game. And now look, Viego definitely doesn't opt into that style, but in general, what we're looking at is like mid jungle tends to be that bridge to the late game for RNG. We're seeing things like the Lee Sin, the Vi's, Wukongs, even the Poppy able to do a lot of work in the early stages of the game. And then oftentimes we're getting it paired with things like Lissandra, Ari, Talia in the mid lane for RNG. Now look, they have definitely like opted into full late game scaling compositions when you've got things like the Azir in the mix and even the Viegos we talked about, but certainly think the most successful form of RNG is being able to utilize this early to mid game mid jungle, lean that into your side lanes, and then look at the late game scaling you have in your AD carry in your top lane, like the Gwens, the Jaxes, the Gangplanks, all very, very crucial for them. Especially when you're looking at things like the Aphelios and the Jinx as well in that bot lane. It ends up setting themselves up really, really nicely to have these late game carries come into the forefront. So even if their mid game doesn't go particularly well, they still have that almost late game insurance with these picks as the game goes on.
And I love as well, like you mentioned all the kind of like the way they've been set up, but I also love that Ming is set up to be just a facilitator for the rest of the team. He had 11 unique picks. You can see a lot of hard engage there, but definitely a couple of enchanters sprinkled in between. On the other side of this one, I gotta call out Cube, my man. The guy has been just on every champion he could possibly think of. He was the Nasus. He played it twice as well, which was incredible. He's played the Mordekaiser. He really has just been trying to figure out what will work for his team.
Yeah, but this is where it kind of comes back to the identity of Rare Adam not really suiting the meta or the style of picks that they're going for, right? Because when you look at like things like the Jax, tends to not get priority in a lot of the matchups that we see him into, right? It's kind of like, oh, I'm going to outscale you, and that's what I'm really aiming for here. Same with things like the KO, Ornn. The Nasus we saw come in as a counter pick, so I'm going to take that a little bit different because it was as a counter pick in towards things like the KO, but even Vladimir's, Sejuani's, these are things that tend to lend themselves towards, hey, I can push and roam with you and invade. Same when you look at like Corki, Orianna, not an incredibly strong pick in those early stages at looking at those skirmishes. Same with the Sylas, tends to get pushed in a lot. We were talking about the Victor, the Azir. Like, you're seeing a lot of these picks that don't really lean into roaming in for invade. Same with Jinx, Ezreal. Like, nothing here screams, oh, well, we can actually get lane prio and then very quickly roam in with you and start to get things rolling, Leanne. So I think that's where we're seeing the kind of disconnect from the way that Rare Atom have been playing versus what we're seeing now. And unfortunately, their team fight was never that strong. Like, this was one of the things we called out back in spring. Very skirmish orientated fights, not really having a set front to back style. And now that's coming back to bite them because they just don't really know how to set up for, say, a Corki and a Jinx late game fight with a strong front line, because that wasn't what they were playing. It was never communicated well. It was never really cohesive in that style. They'd often fall afoul of flanks, and then it was everyone's on their own. Just make it work as best you can.
Yeah, it did feel like in spring, like we were very, very promising kind of looks at Strife coming in onto the mid lane. It was his debut split. He did exceptionally well. I always think of the instant Corki triple kill that he was able to pick up. I literally mean instant. He'd throw an auto attack and a rocket at the exact same time, and he picked up 3 kills straight away. So it does feel like he, in particular, hasn't really found his footing so far in summer. It feels like, he, again, like you mentioned, they are leaning back onto things that don't really have that kind of same agency. And it does feel like, as you said, with the meta, you look at Rookie, Xiaohu, Knight, they are playing things like the Talia, the Ari, the Lissandra, things that can just roam around the map, get some mid-game power going, and just straight up point and click CC sometimes to kind of say, look, we're going to take a fight here, and if you walk too far forward, you're dead.
And the thing is, as well, is that Rare Atom haven't been a team that traditionally have been very good around objectives, right? Like, we don't see them with crazy high objective control. And in situations where you see, say, a team like Top Esports, Knight goes onto a Sylas, he's always going to be on lower priority. Tien is very, very good at finding these windows to start picking up dragons, being able to contest Rift Herald, and that's where you can see that they can make this style work, because they're very good at slowing down the pace of the game, not just kind of saying hands off, look, we're just going to give you run of the map. And that's the problem that we're seeing with Rare Atom, is that although they can go for these picks like the Azirs and the Corkis, Lian isn't really being able to either facilitate the lanes to scale into the late game, so they oftentimes end up under a massive amount of pressure, or he's not really in a position to try and go for these objectives or even contest them, or willing to give up his farm to go for these objectives. And that's where, again, Rare Atom aren't really finding ways to kind of plug holes to allow themselves to get to the late game. And I think that's the biggest difference between not only Rare Atom, but some of our lower base teams as well, lower placed, teams as well, is that they just don't have this understanding of how to use objectives, how to use the map, how to even like use wave states to slow the pace of the game, to give themselves time to hit the late game. Whereas when you look at a team like RNG, Top Esports as well, when they do tend to go for these things that are less about using their lane advantage, they're in a much better spot to do so because they understand how to use those map movements.
Yeah, it does feel like that. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, we are in a bit of a pause right now. Rare Atom did have a network issues. League officials are currently investigating. We should hopefully be back onto the Rift as soon as possible. Again, we do apologize, and we hope you bear with us. It is a Monday. No other leagues on, so where are you going to go? Anyway.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the fact that they're having network issues. We're going to find out, and we're going to try and communicate with them. I'm like, doesn't the network issue prevent the communication?
I mean, I assume the league officials have phones. You know, it's like that Blizzard like introduction. You all have phones, right? But I'm assuming they're able to kind of contact them through that. But yeah, we are hopefully getting into game very, very soon. Hopefully we'll be able to get back onto the Rift. And again, it's just kind of a slow and steady thing. And we can kind of deep dive a little bit now that we have the time onto the actual changes into Sivir and why we're starting to see her a little bit more into the meta right now, because she hasn't changed in terms of what her abilities at their core do, but the numbers have changed, Dagda.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different things that we have to try and look at. Initially, the one that kind of caught a lot of people off guard, and probably the simplest one to go with, is the E change, the spell shield change. So no longer it gives mana, it gives health when it hits. So it's not like you're going to try and just tank a bunch of these abilities in the early stages to help you push. But in return, they have changed the W and the Q, and honestly the ultimate a little bit as well. So with the Q now has a faster time to throw it out. It scales as you level, and it also scales with crit. So it's going to deal up to 50% more damage with the more crit that you have, up to 100% crit chance. And that's where a lot of our late game damage is coming from, is when you hit that 100% crit, having extra damage on your boomerang is going to be incredibly nice. The W as well now will bounce up to 5 or 6 times. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it does mean that it ends up bouncing back and forth between a whole bunch of people. It costs less mana, which means it's easier now for you to shove the wave without having to rely on tanking abilities with your spell shield, which is just a really nice change. And honestly, the damage that's coming off it also got buffed, so it can be quite annoying to deal with in lane. Like if you get caught by a few of these, especially because they travel faster, it can be really, really hard to try and avoid that damage in the lane state. Also, then keep your wave pushed in. So this is where we're actually seeing her get a lot of access to the wave in the early stages of the game, especially against short range carries like Azeri. And then the last big change was kind of her ultimate being swapped over into you still get the speed up every time you get a takedown. The ultimate will kind of extend its duration, but it's got this really nice bonus effect now, which is your auto attacks reduce the cooldown on your regular basic abilities. So every time you're in a fight, you're just spamming out these abilities like there's no tomorrow. So way more of these ricochet blades are coming out. They're dealing more damage because you've scaled into the late game as well. Suddenly your boomerang blade is dealing a ton of extra damage, and it also has that faster cast time as well, the throw time. So it ends up just being absolutely insane how much damage this Sivir can churn out in the later portion of the game.
Yeah, it really does. And I think that's got to be the big thing now, is that for Gala, he has just been that teamfight AD carry. Even when we had questions about him coming up to, maybe in 2020 and 2021, even in those moments, it was like, it doesn't matter about the laning phase, this guy can still team fight. And of course, you think of some of his amazing Kai'Sa plays. Even most recently, the Lucians and the Aphelioses he's been able to pull out have been absolutely exceptional. I think he really is someone who is pushing himself up towards, the argument of maybe being the best AD carry in the world. Again, it's an argument. I'm not saying which way or the other, but I've got a slight update. We should be jumping into back into game very, very shortly. Thankfully, we have been able to investigate, and hopefully all network issues have been sorted, so we should be jumping back in directly from the point of which we dropped. So nothing was really happening right there. Thank you for the big in-depth dive onto Sivir there, Dagda. Really do appreciate it. But before we do kind of come into this one here, I think that for RNG, what is the expectation for this team? Because I feel like every single year we always come in and say, like, the MSI champions, as we do jump back into game. A little bit of an engagement. There's the spell shields we were just talking about. But RNG, they're a team that every single year, spring champions, the emperors of spring, the little tiger in Xiaohu. It feels a little bit different now in summer. It feels like they finally haven't gotten that big lull. As we can see now, maybe a little bit of a move from Xiaohu here. He's going to try and just kind of wait out Cube to go a little bit too far forward. He's waiting for the hop, but got to get him knocked back a little bit. The flash is going to come out, and Cube's going to have to back himself away.
Okay.
Nicely done by Breed. He tanks up the tower perfectly. First blood to RNG.
Great job from RNG, and this is what we're talking about. Xiaohu having that push in the mid lane and being able to roam around the map. That's exactly what we needed to see. And now Breed, with an early start in this lane, is going to give him a great start.
Yeah, it really, really is. And we come straight back in, and RNG, kind of coming in. Yuyanja doing his best to try and make sure this wave does not crash. I like it, but he's playing with fire, Dagda.
Yeah, he definitely is, and taking a good amount of damage in response. So it looks like Gala, anyway, is just going to try and push this wave. It does stop, or at least allow iBoy to be able to get a good amount of this wave, but he just have to be careful because he is alone under this bot lane tower, and I'm spotting Wei moving down, but it looks like he's just going to take the dragon instead.
Yeah, and I love that we're seeing Xiaohu do this so often. It feels like he does it every single game. Xiaohu does not care if he falls behind in lane. Xiaohu does not really want to be, 1v1 me, bro. Take away, I'm 10, 12 CS ahead of you, at a point where we should be equal. He knows that his job and his best way of playing so far this split has just been him facilitating around the rest of his team.
Might need to cover top, though, because there's 2 members already up here for Adam. 1 more on the way. Leon trying to get the cross map.
He's going to go for the cross map, but you can see Xiaohu already starting to move his way up here. Cube going to lose Mega very, very shortly. Ooh, that's not good. They will get the stun afterwards, but not really in a position to go for this one. Breed does come in, the Weaver's Wall there. Now Xiaohu says, hello, I'm back again. They will not get the flick back as it's going to be a 4v2 on the top side. Flash away by Xiaohu as he tries to make this one work. Breed jumps straight back in, trying to dodge away from the gravity well and also from the ultimate from the Victor. Strive gets ignited as he's in a very bad position. Double flick back as Xiaohu and Breed are 2v4ing. Now the cavalry has arrived and RA need to get the hell out of dodge. Wei is there. He's going to try and get on top of Cube, who does not have flash. Will have Mega very, very shortly. But RNG survive, and RA, they threw everything and they couldn't make it stick.
Just really good answer from RNG. We talked about Xiaohu needing to cover that top side. He got a very quick reset off so he could manage to get up into that top side with the Weaver's Wall and managing to save Breed there. As well, Counter-Strike coming in clutch. I don't know if we'll get a replay there, but a lot of people forget that Counter-Strike not only dodges basic attacks, it also gives you 25% reduced damage on AoE abilities. So things like the ultimate coming through from the Victor there, not actually doing its full amount of damage, and Breathe just about manages to skedaddle away. So nicely done by RNG to shut down the cross map Rare Adam were going for against the Dragon.
And I love this as well because it kind of is exactly what we talked about in Pick and Ban as well. RNG are linking up together as a team. It's why Gala has the 4th highest solo kills in the league, because he's left here in bot lane by himself so often. Even the fact that Ming still hasn't come back into lane shows you just how RNG want to play. And again, it's very, very similar to how they played in spring 2021.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference is that we're seeing kind of Xiaohu being more of an engage tool on things like the Sandra, on the Talia, which honestly is the most surprising for me, because I always consider Talia more of like a secondary engage tool, but Xiaohu kind of making it work as kind of really the primary form of engage in a lot of situations, which is slightly hilarious. But definitely the cogs for RNG are turning spectacularly at the moment, and it feels like they're really getting into the swing of things with leaning into the fact that the durability update gives you the late game scaling that you want. Finding these moments to slow down the pace of the game, using wave state, using moments to invade like this.
Yeah, moments to invade, and nowhere for him to really go. There's the secondary flick back that you were talking about for the Talia, and honestly, this is just prime RNG. They know what they want to do. They know where they want to do it, and the fact that they can tell that Leyen is going to be invaded, it means they can keep going for this because they know that they can keep going aggressive in top as well.
And there's just nothing you can do to respond here as well. This is kind of what we're talking about in the early stage of the game, is like Leyen not having priority from lanes, the early skirmishing not as strong as RNG's is, and RNG are just using that spectacularly. Now they have the Rift Shroud, now they've gotten some kills in the mid lane, this mid jungle that we were talking about looking spectacular, but Gala going to be in trouble with the response.
They're going to try and maybe make this one work. Good flash. He spell shielded as well. I think he was expecting the quickness to be used there, as now Ming is available here on the Weaver's Wall. Xiaohu hasn't been mid in so damn long. The flash in, he gets the knock up, the flick back, and the boomerang braid. Here's a slice of pizza, and there's nothing else you can do. This is actually perfect from RNG. It's insane how much they're doing in such a short amount of time.
The fact that Ming hit 6 off that initial kill onto iBoy was heartbreaking for Yu Yanji. Thought he'd be able to escape, but wasn't allowed. And I mean, I'm kind of surprised to see Gala flash this. There is no minion that's about to die, and Yu Yanji was level 5 still, so I thought he'd just absorb it with the spell shield. But as we talked about, Xiaohu managing to get the roam off, having full control, and you get the level 6 here for Ming actually just off the minions that died in the back, and with that you can actually pick off Yu Yanji as well. Gorgeous stuff off the RNG side.
I mean, this is what I was talking about. This feels very different RNG in summer. This feels like an RNG that, yes, they did swap out Bin for Breed, but Breed has been kind of adjusting into the system. It was a bit of a slow start for sure, but they've only lost against teams above them in the standings. The only 2 losses they have are against Top Esports and V5, which both went to 3 games. So this is still a massive threat in the LPL, and honestly, I feel like right now it just is so hard for RA to get stuff going when they're in this kind of form.
And it's the reason that RNG have been so terrifying for so long. I mean, obviously looking back at 2020, losing Uzi, a lot of question marks were there for RNG, being like, hey, look, what is this team going to do? How are they going to respond? With Gala coming in, not exactly the massive AD carry player that a lot of people were hoping for, and they started to change. But as Gala has grown over the course of these last few splits, he has now become a threat into and on himself, and RNG are willing to give him the resources, become that late game threat. And with Xiaohu now finally back home in the mid lane, it looks unbelievable. But we'll have to see exactly what RNG can do, because Rare Adam are trying to set up for this dragon. They have full control over River, but I mean, you've got the Talia Weaver's Wall in just a little while to see if they can cut people off. But it looks like with 2 kills already for Xiaohu, Wei looking great. They don't want to go.
Aye, boy. Yeah, I was going to say he's going to need to get himself over the wall and far away because he is not in a position to be able to take that. And we can see that RNG are very prepared for this Zarya and saying, look, we just don't believe that the Zarya is going to do exceptionally well into the Sivir. It doesn't have that kind of pushing power to punish the roams coming out from Ming, where Ming just hasn't been in that bot side. And you can see it just there that Gala's got a CS lead at this point as well, so he's not even going to be punished for anything really in the sense that, you know, leaving Ming or Ming leaving him alone will do. So for RNG, they get 2 dragons, drop Rift Herald into mid as well, so they're going to be able to kick up themselves at least 2 plates off of that and at the end of it. So it's just, again, RNG playing so smart. Yes, it's only about 1,000 gold lead, but it's the fact that it's getting it from such smart movement is just a big thing for me.
Breathe even stole away Gromp on the top side as well. So, I mean, they're just doing as much as possible to take away everything from RA that they can. And RA just really don't know how they're supposed to respond. And we talked about it, like, they can't really respond. I mean, now they're even trying to DC from the game. Like, they just want nothing to do with this.
No,
but the thing is, like,
they want out.
yeah, but again, like, you're not falling behind for Xiaohu's mid lane. And this is one of the biggest surprises for me with Taliyah coming into 12-13 was the fact they buffed this champion, because it was already, you know, pretty high up in priority, at least that we're seeing in the LPL. And then you give her more buffs as well. And LPL were like, oh, hell yeah, she's just like 1 pick now. This is exactly what we need. And this is where you're seeing so many champions struggle to push the lane against her. It opens up dramatically for you to go for these roam plays. And even in situations where you like don't get off the bat early, right? You can't maybe make these Weaver Wall plays at the early stages. She's still massive threat in team fights. The Weaver's Wall, having a ton of control, especially against a lot of these late game carries that we're seeing that tend to be pretty immobile. As well, having the opportunity to shut down the more mobile picks as well, thanks to the Unraveled Earth. Like, there is so much in her kit that lets her dominate a team fight, that lets her control the pace, and especially in the hands of some of the incredible mid laners that we have at the moment, like Knight, like Xiaohu that we're seeing pick it up, like Rookie as well. The first game he came back showing exactly what Taliyah was capable of. Like, this is where it gets so scary in the hands of these players.
Yeah, again, like, you know, we think of the Taliyah and we think of kind of, I suppose it's kind of a false thinking as well. It's a pseudo kind of way of thinking about it, because it's always that kind of like, oh, she's, you know, a facilitator. She doesn't do that much. She controls area. That's about it. But we've seen it with Rookie, Knight, Xiaohu, Scout as well. It's that this pick can take over games in terms of damage as well. I think V5 in their last series as well, they tried to go Photic on the Kog'Maw, tried to run and protect the Kog'Maw comp. He kept getting focused out and killed, but it didn't matter because there was still Rookie on Taliyah putting out absurd level of damage with the Q. So there is definitely an awful lot of room here. And I'll always remember Caedrel as well when he was watching kind of LPL saying, why is this pick so highly prioritized right at the start of when the LPL were starting to pick it up in 12-12? And then we're seeing it time and time again that it just fits such a good playstyle and covers so much of an area.
It really does. And that's where it's seen play a lot more. And I think that says a lot about the LPL in general, as well as that we're willing to go for these more mid-game focused picks. The Silases, the Taliyahs, these things that aren't the uber scaling, because you look across at in the LEC, you look across in LCK, it's all about like high priorities on Gangplank, high priority on like super late game scaling picks, because they don't tend to interact in the early stage of the game. But I think what we're seeing from teams like Top Esports in particular is that when you pick up the pace of the game, you really can run away with it. Still thanks to Dragons, still thanks to things like the double Rift Heralds. It is very possible to just take over a map, amass an insane gold lead, and then the durability patch did help, but not enough to try and deal against everything that's been tossed at you. So I definitely think from an LPL perspective, picks like the Taliyah suits it a hell of a lot, and especially when you're looking at, you know, things that are being played in the bot lane, champions like the Jinxes, the Aphelioses. Kalista really struggles against Taliyah as well. Taliyah's ability to roam down and, you know, separate out things like the Jinx and the Aphelios make it really hard for these AD carries to do their job efficiently.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you look at some of the stats as well in this Taliyah as well, it went from a 55% presence on 12-12 to a 91% presence on 12-13. So you can just see right there, it's kind of like, look, it was starting to hear whispers, if you will, of something that could be happening. And the LPL just jumped straight onto that train and said, yeah, no, this is the pick right now. This is must ban, must pick. And it does feel like the mid lane trifecta as well, the Lissandra, the Sylas, and of course the Taliyah. Lissandra's fallen off just a little bit, but definitely the Sylas and the Talia have kind of just become the forefront of how you want to play the game, because we talked about Silas so much, he gets that early skirmishing, but even then, like the Talia, just as you've seen so far this game, Xiaohu's just roaming. Remember, twice we've seen him now go top lane, once bot lane, and he spent very little time in mid lane, but it doesn't matter because he's getting advantages across the map.
Yeah, and the big thing is when you're looking at these types of champions, it's not really just the Silas and the Talia, it's things like the Ahri as well that are coming into play. But Ahri started to fall off because she's not a champion that can really like dominate the lane, right? She doesn't have the upfront damage to push something like a Silas out of the lane, to push something like a Talia or even an Azir out of the lane. And then you're not actually able to have as much of an impact in the early stages roaming, or even carry these late game fights, even if you get massively far ahead. So that's where I think we're starting to see teams kind of deprioritize the Ahri and then look towards things like the Azirs, the Talias, the Silases. But Silas in particular, we saw kind of have his little kind of week as on the end of 12-12, where he was like first pick priority. But a lot of teams kind of realized, well, with Talia coming into the meta, Silas doesn't do so hot against Talia. Unraveled Earth is a nightmare for the Silas. Even the Kingslayer counts as a dash. You're abscond, you're abduct, both two separate instances of a dash. The ultimate isn't really that important for a Silas, so Talia just fits really well against the Silas, which is why we're seeing Talia become such high priority, because she has a good matchup against the Azir, she has a great matchup against the Silas, and there's not really much else that can do well against her because of how much push she now has in her kit. Like, you're looking at Victor, traditionally someone who can do quite well against a plethora of different champions, struggling with the push. The only champion I can think of that I've seen that can maybe try and contend is something like a Rise, but even then, it's still incredibly difficult because you've got such good gank setup as a Talia. Like, Talia is kind of like a one-stop shop for everything you really want from your mid laners right now, with scaling tops and scaling AD carries in the game.
Yeah, I think that's just a great way to kind of put it. Again, we're moving back to a scaling AD carries. Of course, the Aphelios coming back into meta. 200 years, very hard just to trim that down, even with nerfs and such coming into it. But I also love the fact that it's a kind of a very LPL thing as well, is that, like, you know, with the nerfs to Grievous Wounds, the durability patch and stuff like that, it did feel like it was kind of like enchanters 100%, and then LPL was like, but then we don't have engage and we need engage, so we gotta just keep these guys over here. So you're seeing the likes of the Rakan, the Leona, the Nautilus, just a constant out on the bot side, and they just complement those hard scaling AD carries so well, because at the end of the day, yes, you may be able to destroy people in a late game team fight, but you gotta get there in the end. But if you're just joining us, we are in a little bit of a pause. RA are having network issues, and we are hopefully going to be able to figure them out and bring ourselves back into the game as soon as possible. We're going to take a quick break because we've been talking way too much, and we're going to see you guys hopefully very, very soon.
Road to try and come across here. Xiaohu cutting them off from this. They're just going to burst it down.
The damage is so much. Scout needs a great little ult here. Jun just misses. Goes down the smite there. RNG now have the execution, but they need the kills to go through. Splinter is forced over the wall. Look at Xiaohu. Look at Gala. The target survived. Once again, Gala will not be dying today. RNG with the comeback of the split. Edward Gaming may be world champions, but RNG are 3 times MSI reps.
Brian on the side here too. He can give up his flank angle, and Ultra Prime will just move in as a body unit here. All 5 of them trying to set up a front to back for Elk.
Oh, look at
Wayward.
Look at
Like,
Wayward.
yeah, they have no idea. No wards are over here. They're walking straight into Wayward, who Meganars into the wall, and Top B Sports. They're trying to move into Ultra Prime, and Ultra Prime have disappeared. Wayward shows Zoom who is who, and Top B Sports, the train keeps on chugging.
And this could well be another big fight coming up between them. JDG kind of be missed. Oh,
A
Kanavi.
little bit rough, and Kanavi, he gets out of there barely. 369 about to have Meganar. He wants to go in, only gets 1. Needs to get out. He is taken. No, he flashes, and they're following. But Mole is caught now. Hope is just firing away, and they've got so much damage with Kanavi. Here comes Yakao on the side. Ultra Shock Laser from the heavens, and every hope that's ever existed for JDG exists in this game.
straight solo players, but they get themselves on the top of this one. This is ongoing in, but a curse of Sam Mummy into the explosive cast, and they're able to get the GA immediately. One farm, though, still doing well. The Shy with the slicing Maelstrom right onto the backside. Kepler knows he needs to do something. I will say that Baseron's doing some significant damage, but can they kite this one out? They cannot. SOFM's getting his reset. You can see the triple kill for the Shy.
Legend. They do bend and not break for anyone's legend. They're just trying to push this back out and take down this tower that WE are using as a home base at this point.
Yeah, and it makes
That's a big engage, though. But look, AL going back in here. Moonlight Vigil front to back. Xiaohao getting taken out, though. Kadaya now big Emperor's Divide from Forge himself. And now you got the slicing Maelstrom. Xiaohao tries to come back in. Benny is full health. Benny's got the Inferno. Benny's got the damage. Hey, Benny is the late game carry for anyone's legend.
Good old days. Do you remember? There's no bringing them back.
Continuation of the golden era. Golden era. Continuation of the golden era. May you live forever.
Late 80s, early 90s, it came into its prime. Microphone prodigies with complex rhymes, sublime denser beats, deep sampling feats. Pure genius rose steep from the New York streets. Meet at Mars, the building from Milky Way. Payday, the tunnel, the red zone, new music cafe. Beat Street, fat beats, downstairs rockin' soul. In the music factory, stacked 12-inch gold. The innovation was cunning and stunning. Nothing was contrived from 86 to 95. New York kept it live. BDP, King PE, Ultra EPMD. Rakim, Stet, Slick Rick, MC Life is Marquee.
下场对阵 RA 战队的话，要注意乐野选手就是很喜欢反野吧，然后也很喜欢就是出其不意的去抓人吧，然后要防好吧。对，接下来的比赛的话，就是还是希望就是可以走到最后吧，然后就是队伍现在还是就是有很多的不足吧，然后失误也很多，也要注意前中期跟后期吧，然后都会有失误，要去调整吧。对。
Welcome back, 1-0 to the LPL. If you're just joining us and wondering, my God, that was either the quickest game of League of Legends you've ever seen, or there was a massive pause. I'm going to tell you it's the latter of the two. There was some network issues for RA that have hopefully been resolved, so hopefully we will be coming back straight into the game. But Dagda, for any new viewers, for anyone who's not quite sure what's been going on, where are we, what's been happening, and why are RNG 4-0?
We're in the game machine. That's where we are. But yeah, I mean, it's just been RNG utilizing the fact that we talked about, you know, strong mid jungle, get control there. Xiaohu able to have roams. And look, he's dropping a little bit of CS every time he goes for these roams, but it's been paying dividends. 2-0-2. Kraken Slayer already picked up in the bottom lane for the Sivir as well. She's well on her way to becoming that late game threat. And Breathe as well, getting some help there means he's got that early Divine Sunder, which very quickly changes this matchup, as you can see in the top side, where Breathe can actually start to play hyper aggressive when he can get onto this mini Gnar.
See if you can play hyper aggressive. Does have a 10 CS lead, but is down in terms of the completed items. Divine Sunder, double Divine Sunder being picked up for the top side of Breathe and Away as we come back into the game. And we start to see where you want to go. You've got the Kraken Slayer now for RNG. And also, the big thing that we kind of never really got to touch on is they've got two dragons, so they can pick and choose when and where they go for these fights. And speaking of going for fights, looks like Wei already starting to look like it'd be a more aggressive move up to this top side because they've got push and top. Look at Xiaohu on the minimap.
Yeah.
He's already going for a little bit of a sneaky move to try and catch out Cube.
Yeah, the Weaver's Wall will reach across the blue buff as well, so they've got to be incredibly safe. And you'd imagine Cube is thinking, oh, well, they went for this invade. That's the play. So he's going to walk up, think he's safe.
Oh, that was so well played from Xiaohu. He said, I'm going to put the seismic shove behind you. I'm going to put the ground in front of you. So even if you jump towards us, you're going to die. Honestly, Dagda, this is just textbook League of Legends from RNG. There's nothing else to it. I don't know if Dagda's still here. Dagda?
Oh, sorry, I thought I hit the unmute button. Thank you. Absolutely
you
masterful from RNG. They've looked absolutely incredible the entire way through, and now they get the Rift Herald. You can't really respond to this, even though you've moved Iboy and Yuyanja up here. I mean, I don't really think you can try and make this happen.
I mean, they're going to be able to do it for the moment, but you've got Strive down the bot side. He's going to be answering the push that Gala put in. RNG were just kind of saying, look, we don't need to take the fight just yet. We can re-establish control. We can go for this as Breed jumps in aggressively onto Leyen. And they're just going to be able to kind of double Divine Sunder themselves in here. You can see there's the Counter-Strike down. They're going to try and get the Heartbreaker out of him. The flash away, but the Weaver's Wall's going to put Cube in a bad spot, who also has to flash. That's a hell of a lot of your engage no longer there. Now you're going to see the quickness, but how can Yuyanja get in? You've used so much here, Dagda. Aren't you going to have total control?
But this is the thing. All right, Rare Adam keep trying to make these plays happen when you know that Xiaohu has Weaver's Wall, when Xiaohu can get to there faster, when RNG already have control over the area. Now, look, it did force them to bring up Gala, but Gala's totally fine here. He's just going to be able to clear out this wave. You still get ripped out. You've lost push on bot side as well. Like, everything has gone the wrong direction for Rare Adam on that play.
Yeah, it really did. And the fact that you're losing flashes now, you lost ultimates, you're just going to have to try and... It makes it harder to find that, kind of find that comeback play. The big thing that I always say is that, yes, fair enough, you didn't, fight at the Rift Herald, but you got Victor a load of farm and bot side, or maybe you were able to, set yourself up. I'm going to say that, though. Wade's going to find Yuyanja, who's in a little bit of a precarious predicament, but with the blast gun there, should be just fine. And yeah, this is just bad to worse for RA, and yes, it is only 1,000 gold. We mentioned that, it feels like an eternity ago, but it has only been a couple of in-game minutes, and it's still the way it's going about it. Again, late game is in favor of RNG, a front-to-back team fight with the Jack split pushing even as well. That's just going to be so hard for RA to deal with.
I mean, across the board, there's very little that Rare Adam can actually try to fight back with here, right? You've got great late game scaling coming through with the Sivir, who's well on her way at this stage. You've got full dragon control here with 7 seconds left. I mean, unless you find some miracle engage here with Yanja, it's just not going to be it.
Yeah, you're going to be hard stuck to make this one work. All 5 members of RA are here because they don't have a teleport on Q, but Breed does. So Breed's just kind of saying, cool, if we delay this fight, if we just do not let you do anything, we're going to get so much on the top side of the map. He's just continuing to push. He's going to try and, just get some more pressure down. And yeah, look, RNG don't have to fight this.
Yeah, they don't really care. They're just playing this nice and slow. Xiaohu still has a ton of control coming through with the Unraveled Earth as well. So trying to get these engages is so difficult. And here you go.
Yeah, they're going to go for it. The Solar Flare comes in. They get the flick back. Remember that flash he used earlier? Still not available. Ming picks up that kill because he popped down the Ignite. You can see Iboy, after popping the ultimate, trying to make this one work. The Cyclone is good. They're turning back down onto Iboy, though. And Iboy has to flash away. Breathe is joined in as Gala's pushing forward. It is a massacre. It is perfection from RNG as they are just smashing RA.
It's not even close right now. Complete control from RNG. Beautiful team fighting. And again, remember what we talked about with Rare Adam? Like, this isn't a team that has ever kind of strived in team fights, done well when it comes towards these front-to-back 5v5s, and we got to see it there. Rare Adam spread out way too far. RNG pounce on towards one side, and even in a 4 versus 5 scenario, they come out on top. Like, Cube here is trying to threaten the dive, make sure that he's got Mega Gnar, but RNG just turn and say, hey, your Gnar bar isn't high enough. We can pick you up before the fight starts. Yuyanja then tries to go for the engage, but wait, fantastic Cyclone for the disengage. And that means that there's nowhere left for Rare Adam to try and jump in. You've even got the TP coming through from Breathe. All the pieces of RNG are working so incredibly well.
Yeah, it just feels like RNG have just read them at every single point. And now it's a 5,000 gold lead. Remember I said it was 1,000, now it's 5,000. It's literally gotten up 5 times from that. And yeah, honestly, unless there's some massive errors coming out from the side of RNG, RA are going to struggle so hard to come back into this one here. And again, I can't praise RNG enough. They have called RA at every single point, at every single dragon fight, at every single point of which they could maybe contest. RNG have just had an answer, and it comes off of the back of what they drafted. Breed, very comfortable in the sideline against the Gnar. The Sivir is going to be able to wave clear 4 days, now sitting on a full item ahead of Iboy. It's just so hard to really make anything stick here for RA.
And already you can see again RNG trying to put the pressure on. Spring Emperor leading the charge here in Xiaohu, and this is why RNG are so terrifying when they get Xiaohu onto something that is capable of roaming. they're so good at using that effect to push in on towards the bot side here, like get control over the jungle, utilize the map effectively, and Xiaohu is essentially the puppet master, telling everyone what they're supposed to be doing. Breathe, push in on top side. Xiaohu's gonna hide in the river or in the jungle here because he's got the Weaver's Wall, just gonna play essentially both sides of the map and make sure that if Rare Adam ever try and overstate their presence, well, there's the engage.
Yeah, there is the engage. Solar Flare comes out, but it does miss out. But that's two inner turrets being taken out, and RA don't have an answer. There's not as if they're kind of going for something on the other side of the map. But we'll say they will get a tier 1, maybe in the bot side, but that turret finally goes down. Is that really worth it? You see a TP coming out just to try and defend. Sorry, not a TP. It was a recall. It's very hard to see sometimes in the small little in-game one. But yeah, this is rough, Dagda. And look, again, like, Leyen's trying. He's, 0-0-0, but when you don't really have that kind of big primary engage, Uyanja has to go in by himself. There's not really a lot else you can do.
I mean, Rare Adam trying to see if they can get picks. This is probably their one way back into the game. Maybe they can find some. We're going to back away. I mean, you're looking at where iBoy is, looking at where Cube is. They just don't really have people in the area to try and make things happen. And as you say, 2.5 minutes until Dragon. I mean, I think their best bet was to try and use the fact that Cube had got pushing bot side to already establish vision control into this bot lane, as Uyanja will get a shield bash in the face, but I'm trying to look for picks, trying to see if they can get better vision control in the area, but trying to over-force and over-chase RNG out of your jungle doesn't really get anything. They'd already taken everything that was on that top side, and unfortunately now they just don't really have any more map pressure. As RNG have got the quicker resets, they'll move into this bot side jungle, start to establish vision. They already have a ton of control over Baron, so honestly they can threaten both right now, where they shove mid, can always fall back to Dragon, have one person even just breathe, solo out the Dragon if they want to, while the other 4 members keep threat on Baron. And with the Kraken Slayer rapid fire already completed for Gala, this is going to hurt if they get on towards the Baron.
It really is. And honestly, the thing is as well is that RA aren't really in a position to, as you say, threaten Baron themselves, because RNG have already put themselves in a way to say, look, we're going to be able to control this area, so even if you try and go for it, it's not really going to work out. There's going to be the Weaver's Wall to cut off any real escape, as we can see flash in. There's the solar flare down. They're going to catch out into Lian. He tries to flash away. Dagda, it's fish in a barrel, and they've got a double-barreled shotgun. That's the width of the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely just domination from RNG. Great job from Xiaohu to cut them off. Just utilizing the Weaver's Wall to make sure that there was no way that they were going to be able to run. Once you get in behind them as well, the Unraveled Earth means that they can't really use any of their dashes to escape. And RNG now turn over towards the Baron. They'll take this and look at the timer. Perfect timing for them to rotate down to that bottom side. And you still have Leyan and iBoy dead on Rare Adam's side. This is just really good play. I mean, Xiaohu showing exactly how dominant this Talia can be. Setting up great control here. Follow-up is immaculate from RNG. And it's simple as you like. I mean, what do you do? Like, what do you do, Rare Adam? Yeah. I can't even blame this on the connection issues. Like, this is just RNG slapping you about.
Yeah, it really is. Now Uyanja gonna have to use his battle dance, you would imagine, to try and get himself out. There's the quickness coming out. They're gonna try and burn down Breed, but Breed's got himself the Grandmaster's challenge, and he's gonna keep pushing in. Flake back. iBoy cleanses and flashes away, but he's already dead, Dagda. This is the scariest iteration of RNG I think I've ever seen. This is a team that is just toying with RA and not letting them have a moment. You got a tower, one tower, and that's it as RA.
I like the way we both had to do the double check there, that it wasn't actually a perfect game, but
yes.
you will get caught out. Not going to be able to follow it up there by RNG, but I mean, they're totally fine. You've got push and bot side. They just want this last outer turret. They more than likely, though, I will say, could have moved someone in towards mid lane here, namely Xiaohu, to start like pushing in that wave if they want to do, just to have like threat across the board. But it looks like with how long they've stayed on the map, they're just comfortable to get this reset in and then try and return even more powered up than they already stupidly are. Let's be real.
I mean, you have 3 items on to Breathe. And I don't even think 3 people are enough to kill him right now, because he has got the Force of Nature. And yeah, look, this is Breed being a Force of Nature and saying, look, it doesn't matter, I'm going on you. You use everything. They CC him up, but it's a frozen heart. iBoy can't do the damage.
He's also like 2 levels up minimum on everyone in that fight. And now Uyanja trapped again.
Yeah, they're They're going to catch him out and going to try and see if they can kill him off. It's just a death ball of Breathe and Ming saying, you know what, we're going to be able to take you all out. He doesn't care who else is here. He's going to continue to go forward. Now, iBoy, no cleanse, no flash, and sadly for him, no life. It is 0 and 15. A Hex Soul, a Baron still ticking, and Dagda, this was perfection. This was nothing more than just absolute domination.
I mean, the Nemesis Jack skin definitely feels fitting for Breathe in this one, just ripping people apart. And as you say, I mean, this is game. I mean, how do you defend this? You've got no eyeball, you got no Yanja.
You don't. You got no eyeball, you got no Yanda, you got no chance in hell. There's Weaver's Wall right at the end. 25 and a half minutes, as close to a perfect game as you can possibly get here as RNG. They gave up a single tower, and that was it. That was, honestly, I'm nearly willing to make that a perfect game if it literally wasn't for the definition of perfect.
I think that's the whole definition of perfect. That is just a game. If you're not going with the perfect game, that is just a game. But I mean, yeah, really, really good stuff coming through from RNG. They look spectacular. Absolutely incredible performance. And this is why this team can be absolutely terrifying when they get the tools that they need to, right? Way early advantage in the jungle matchup. Roaming mid for Xiaohu. Scaling on both top and bot side. Like, it's a very clean system that RNG have, and one that, as you can see, is terrifying when it gets up and running, because they can command the early game, command the mid game, and we didn't even get to a late game in this one. 25 minutes and this one was over.
Yeah, I mean, it almost felt like this game was, could have been over, honestly, like the 18-minute mark, 19-minute mark. It just felt like they needed the extra few 5 or 6 minutes to really kind of end it all. But yeah, again, I don't think RNG are ever going to be our fastest team in the league, but they are definitely one of the best. And it just feels like time and time again, they are just consistently finding things better. And honestly, I feel like this is a great example of what they can do with Breathe. I feel like Breathe finally fitting into the mold that RNG need them to be, because there was definitely some valid questions about this guy at the start of the split. It's starting to work out. And again, this is a perfect time to build up that momentum.
And that's the thing, is that for RNG, we kind of talked about, look, 8-2 at the moment. This is a squad that wants to show that they are deserving to be in that top 4 spot, representing us at the World Championship, especially coming off the back of an MSI victory. And it took them a bit of time, let's be realistic, for RNG to ramp up into the split. We talked about Wei struggling a little bit at the start of the split, not really knowing what his identity was on this squad. But now you can see when they have figured out how they want to play the game, that's when RNG are most terrifying. And they're not really a team that, as we've seen over the course of like their last few splits, a team that like needs to have multiple different styles. They are incredibly good at just drilling the same style over and over and over and becoming masters of that style. And that's what we got to see here executed, was just a master of this mid-jungle into side lane roaming style.
Yeah, it just, sorry, I'm laughing at the 0 KDA, 0 kill percentage, because they did not get a single kill. That was just, it was perfection. I really just can't say anything else. It was just exactly how RNG... No. No, you don't get that word. We use another word. It was sublime from RNG. How about
Near
that?
perfection is always,
It's always that. It's always semantics coming into this. But we are going to send it to a quick break. When we
stop being a
return-
jerk, I'm sorry.
When we return, we will see if RA can actually bounce back, or if RNG will be taking a very quick 2-0. We'll see you soon.
Speaking of another, team that's obviously done full rebuilds, IG, Ron and Mole, time to celebrate is what none of us thought was going to happen, because my God, it's actually changed nothing. Like, I think Mole has come in and Mole's looking fine, but at the same time, like, barring the last maybe 2 series, right? Uakai was looking fine as well when he was on IG. It was never really about the mid laner why IG was failing. Their individual problems have been with bot lane, and in their mid game especially, you can see it even now. Like, they have no idea what to do. They don't know the limits of their comp, or like they'll show glimpses. I know Ox had the last IG series where they have the one really good team fight, baiting out the abilities. Then the next team fight, they're just all jumping in. Even Shun putting himself in like kind of tragic positions, flashing in on the Nidalee and making sure he gets caught out. So this move feels very.
Okay, sorry, Jordan, can you just keep talking? I want to see more faces coming out of Ox.
Okay, so, and then we bring up TT, LNG. That one was a big banger. No, yeah. I feel like Mole has still looked like, you can still see he's solid in lane and like all these like small things, but at the same time on this IG team, it doesn't matter about Mole. It matters about Shun. But even then, it matters that their mid game sucks. I don't know. This team is so frustrating, and I am the president of frustration.
I just feel like it's mind blowing. This team can go up against JDG, who is just this fantastic early game beast team, have a decimating early game. Shun's mega fed, and then he like, if anyone who didn't catch the series, he's on Nidalee. He's like super fed, and he like jumps in on a team fight. Like it's a full 5v5. He like jumps in into 5 members of the enemy team in cap form, in Cougar form, onto a full HP target, and does like half of his health. And I'm just like, what was the plan? I just feel like that's the thing. It's like, I don't know. It's such a weird one because IG, like, they'll come out. It's like IG scrims go like this, right? They just end at 10 minutes. They either get stomped in the ground, like, okay, let's remake, guys, go next game, or they're like absolutely decimate it, and like Shun's on Nidalee, he's got like an 8k gold lead or something, just himself or something crazy, and then the enemy team's like, yeah, guys, call it, you know, scrim's over, we're done. There's no point playing this on. IG just need to be like, to all their scrim partners, say, please just let us continue playing the game. Trust me, it'll be worth it. Because they'll play for like an extra 5 minutes, and they'll throw, and then IG will hopefully learn how to play the mid game. If it actually feels like they just like, if a team struggles in the early game and then just gets swept, that's one thing. But it's the fact that this team consistently finds early advantages and then just somehow consistently just flops every time. It's like, you know, I feel like there's so many games where if IG have like a substantial lead, I am just still like kind of, you know, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for the moment. I know it's coming. Everyone who's watching knows it's coming. IG themselves probably know it's coming. I'm thinking the coach sitting backstage like, oh God, not again. And then it happens and it's like, well, been here before.
I don't need fast cars, limousines, hanging in the VIPs. Never really been my style. I don't need palm trees in the breeze, honey. I can guarantee it's something money just can't buy. All it takes
RNG 最近状态也挺好的，然后他们联动做的特别好，我们下路应该要做好防守，不要被他们带节奏。虽然现在成绩比较差，但是还是希望大家尽力去打好每一场比赛吧，能赢一场是一场。
Welcome back, one and all, to the LPL. We are just coming off of a long 25 minutes of RNG absolutely decimating, disintegrating, other words that have very similar meanings coming into this. I, of course, am still Ushin. I'm still joined by Dagda. And yeah, it was hard to look at sometimes. And we got to talk about a man in the mid lane as well for RNG. Xiao, whoo! Because I got an owl on my shirt. He was our MVP from game number 1. Yeah, I had to think of something interesting because nothing else was really coming to my mind.
Sorry, I didn't cop there was an L in your shirt. And for anyone who doesn't know, like, our videos are a couple of seconds delayed, so I just heard you scream, but I didn't see the movement to show off the L. So I was so confused. But Xiaohu, yes, looking spectacular and roaming all over the map. We talked about it already. The fact he got the Wukong and the Talia was just such an insane 2v2 for the mid lane, and they used that to perfection, using the fact that Lian couldn't really contest that, meant that Xiaohu got free push. Wei was kind of sticking around, making sure he was able to get that push, and then moving around consistently to find these flanks. The Weaver's walls were impeccable as well. This one was spectacular. I didn't even think this would be a possibility, just because where the wall had to be positioned, but Xiaohu understanding how much of a speed up he had, how easily he could get behind the enemy team, and just setting that up beautifully. So really, really good job from Xiaohu to kind of show just how strong he is on this Talia.
Yeah, again, Talia is becoming similar to what we saw Silas of a first pick, first ban. You need to get it off the board. But now with RNG on the blue side versus RA on the red, RA got us kind of look for some stuff. And I think straight up, like, it's just really great to see from RNG as well that they said, look, take the Zeri. We don't need to ban this right now. You're going to have to first pick it, though, because if we got the Zeri as well, like, you just don't have an answer for that, but we have an answer for it, and that's going to be Sivir in that bot side. Just left Gala to his own devices and just said, cool, Ming, off you go. Roam with Xiaohu and Wei. Make sure you're affecting the map, but I'll just wave clear with Ricochet and Boomerang Blades. There wasn't really any threat on that tier 1 at any stage.
And the thing is, because Zeri's so short range, it does open up for the Sivir to play into that and have that push. And the biggest problem that you're kind of seeing as well is that the draft phase against RNG gets incredibly complicated because they've got these like niche little picks that you have to worry about. Things like the Lissandra for Xiaohu open up things for Wukong and Zeri, and I mean even the Talia as well, to try and get through the draft phase. So even though you kind of got like two counter picks or two picks you're happy, sorry, not counter picks, power picks or two picks you're happy with here for Rare Adam in the Zeri and also in the Gnar that a lot of teams are vying for, you can see just how strong once you get that mid jungle with the Poppy band, Wukong and Talia become so incredibly strong.
Yeah, and I think it was just yes, you had got the engage coming out. We talked about Yanja, but we saw on multiple occasions as well is that you can't get in. There's no way you can actually find a fight there, because even when he nearly was able to get in with the quickness, Cyclone came out. You popped down the Unraveled Earth as well. So there was just too many things that he had to try and navigate to really kind of be the primary gains for his team. And also, as well as that, by the time he actually got to a fight to be a primary engage, it was very much about the fact that they'd already used flashes and ultimates to get away from the side of RNG, let alone engage on top of them. So it just went from bad to worse from RA. It definitely felt like they just really didn't have any real answers coming in, as we're going to jump into picks and bans for game number 2. And yeah, you're going to have to ban the Talia and the Zeri. And now what are you left to ban? You kind of have two massive power picks that you have to ban away. You're left at a bit of a precarious situation.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if RNG ban the Poppy to try and force like the Wukong ban here, but they're actually going to get rid of the Callista. So looks like instead they might just try and set up for something like the Aphelios on their side. Lucian banned away though, so maybe I think you just first pick Poppy here as Wei and get yourself into a good matchup, regardless of the jungle situation. And with most of the AD carry pool already being pinched, if Rare Adam try and take something like the Aphelios for iBoy, well, you can answer with the Jinx and Kind on that bottom side. But no, actually going to go with the Ahri. I don't know if I fully agree. I think Poppy does really well against the Ahri, just because the dashes get stopped a lot. But Xiaohu has been very fond of this pick. And with the Lissandra left open, maybe just see Strive take the Lissandra into Xiaohu.
Yeah, could just go for the Lissandra. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Lissandra Poppy pick up here. I will say for Lien, he's played a hell of a lot of Viego, does definitely prefer it. We'll see if he does end up wanting to go towards that Poppy instead. But yeah, I feel like it feels like exactly what you were talking about when we were discussing the issues with Rare Adam. It feels like they're in a meta that isn't this meta. It feels like their picks are just not really working out for themselves. And yeah, they got Alessandra and the Viego. Poppy feels like a no-brainer here for me from RNG.
Yeah, I think you take the Poppy, get the AD carry you'd like as well. Whichever way the fence you want to land on, whether it's a Philios or a Jinx or whatever. And then you've got a pretty strong team fight here, but actually might be looking towards the Gnar instead, so might be looking to change things up. But actually, as we say that, with the Poppy not needed to be taken, well, then you can open up for the Wukong. And this is what we're kind of talking about, like how you can maneuver through draft in the opening of the day, just like because certain picks are taken away or you've already seen what the opponent wants to go for. Now, these things that were baits are no longer baits anymore.
So they end up kind of working towards here as RA gonna lock in that Jax. Cube has been a very big power pick into that one. We are going to see the reverse of the matchup this time around. So Cube going to be on the Jax himself versus Breed's Narm, and we'll see what both these sides can do. Now we're starting to see more AD carry bands come out. The Jinx, the Aphelios might come out here from the side of RNG, because remember, they don't have the first pick coming out of these particular bands.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to see in a Jinx ban, because for RNG, if they can try and maneuver iBoy onto something like an Ezreal, that opens up for Kai'Sa, for Gala, so maybe some of these different picks, as you've already seen kind of the things like Kog'Maw, Lulu still be up and available, Twitch, Yuumi, still things that can come through. But honestly, I think like trying to get iBoy onto something where he has to play for late game or has to play something like an Ezreal can work out really well here for RNG.
See what they end up going for. Both the late game carries, or the traditional late game carries, have been taken off the board now. Maybe a Sivir ban here for RA, just again get those off the board, get you into something a little bit more fringe, shall we say. And no, they're going to ban the Ezreal themselves, because I think they saw the bait and they were like, no, we don't want to be in this trap.
Yeah, so it means we're going to probably go towards some of these like less traditionally seen picks in like the Kog'Maws, the Twitches, these kind of things in this bottom half of the map. And I'm really curious to see how that one is going to end up panning out, because for RNG, they're definitely looking more towards a dive composition. So something like a Kai'Sa could definitely fit into that style, which is why I thought they were trying to maneuver into that. But this isn't a style that enables something like a Lulu, Kog'Maw, or anything along these lines, because that traditionally wants something that's going to bring the fight to them. Sivir Horford here for Rare Adam. So honestly, this could maybe go for something like the Caitlyn. Senna as well, actually. I forgot Senna existed.
Yeah, honestly,
so Senna would actually be the best fight here then. Yeah, Senna, and you can take a long-range enchanter with her here as well if you want to, like Senna Seraphine could actually work out, but nope, they are just going to go towards the Tahm Kench instead.
Yeah, I think Ming always kind of says to me, it's like, if it's an enchanter, he's just not going to feel that comfortable on it, but it's going to be Sivir Yuumi in that bot side. We'll have perma push, no real kill pressure in that bot lane, either side of the matchup, to be perfectly honest. Even the fact that, yes, you do technically have a engage with the Tahm Kench, but with the spell shield, it's kind of the only real engage you really have after that point, so we'll see what they end up kind of going for. RA looking to try and just dominate the lanes, keep themselves set up with a good split push from Jackson, and of course just kind of set themselves up for those big kind of team fights around the Dragons or Rift Heralds, of course, with the Yuumi and Sivir ultimates. But on the other side here, RNG, if they can find picks, if they can just get long sustained fights going out there where the Ahri's able to weave in and out the Wukong as well, that's where they're going to find their success, in my opinion.
I think the big thing here is that when we were talking about the stylistic choices from Rare Adam, this is where Rare Adam will actually get to play the style that they traditionally like. You have good push and bot lane coming through from the Sivir. Senna, Tahm Kench can't really handle that. You look towards the mid lane as well. Lissandra, good counter pick in towards the Ahri. She gets a lot of push in that lane and could also set up for some great ganks on towards the Ahri pre-6 as well. So if we're looking for Rare Adam to have a game where they can try and bite back against RNG, this feels like the one to me to do it. Even having the counter pick in that top side as the game goes on as well is going to go really well for Cube. So I definitely like what Rare Adam are doing. I just think they need to get off the bat very early to make sure they're in a great spot, because if you end up going towards a mid game where you've got Ahri who's diving the back line with this Gnar, with this Wukong, that's where it can become very, very difficult for Rare Adam to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, like we saw in Game 1, RNG, no strangers to just roaming around pre-6, getting themselves, and specifically Xiaohu, into positions either around the top or bot lane to make things happen. And RA, it's going to be about containing that. It's going to be about making sure that they are in position to make that one work. We will see. Nice little early setup here from RNG to make sure that RA do not get their level 1, but it does mean that the ward does go over to the side of Yumi, actually picked that up. So Yuyanja getting a little bit of gold and XP all around the house.
Yeah, so won't be too many issues there for RNG. So we'll have to see now how they try and start things off way. I'm trying to figure out like what the best place for him to go. He still has a very strong mid jungle here as well. But you do have to be very careful just about the amount of CC that can come through from Leanne and Strive. Like, very easy to hyper-focus down one carry in that mid-jungle duo and just get the kill, turn towards the other one. So we'll have to see how they do, especially with Xiaohu opting in towards the Unsealed Spellbook. Won't have access to things like the Electrocute that can help out in that all-in scenario.
And again, we kind of look towards the junglers. Again, Bopi starting on the bot side of the map, pathing up towards that top lane. And again, Leanne will have a slightly faster clear, but we saw this the last time where Wei is just not even afraid, really, to kind of go say, look, you get the early level, I don't really mind. I will get the priority and get the double scuttle if I can. But different bot lane matchup this time around for RNG. They're not going to have the same perma push you would imagine that they did have in Game 1. So we're curious to see what both junglers are able to do now once their first clear is finished up in the next minute or two.
Yeah, Rare Adam will definitely have full control over this bot side as they like. And I love how we're seeing Rare Adam opt in towards things that give them the advantage in a farming matchup. Because you look at Gala and Ming, it's all of that engage on the bot side is really telegraphed, which is perfect for a Sivir who's got that spell shield. And as you can see, already getting a really nice trade-off on the bottom side. So opting in towards the teleport means that they can continuously push this wave, reset, pick up the items that they want, get back into lane nice and easy, and not give Gala and Ming a moment to rest. Especially when you look towards the likes of Ming, who's going to be farming in this lane. When you're able to completely continue pushing this wave, you can look for turret plates and make it very hard for RNG to try and respond.
Double stun in the top side here. Cube, though, jump in, jump out. It's actually interesting how similar the kits of Gnar and specifically Mega Gnar and Jax end up working together in terms of in tandem, shall we say. You can jump in, you can jump out, you can get a stun down, but we'll see now. Cube looking to see if he can maybe unlock Leanne in this top side. It is still only level 3, finally hit by Cube, but not really able to make something happen again. Breathe holding on to that hop makes it very difficult to make this one work, and now Leanne, he might be in a bit of trouble. He's kind of sitting here in no man's land. Wei is here, and they can just start to put down a little bit more damage here onto the Viego. So not really ideal here from the side of RA, but it does keep the tabs on RNG's jungler, which means the other lanes, as you can just see there, the mid lane, can start to free themselves up.
Yeah, they do have to be careful, though, because Xiaohu doesn't have mana, so I wasn't sure if Rare Adam might try and go for a contest, just knowing that Strive has the advantage in this lane, but they decide not to. But Wei might be looking to try and sneak in behind here.
Very hard to sneak when you have a ward right on top of you, so will be spotted out. They will spot out Leando on the top side, clearing away his Krugs, so it ends up being just a bit of skirmishing, nothing more too untoward to be really kind of talking about, and both lanes happy to continue their farming ways.
Yeah, the real question is what happens with the scuttle on the bot side. I mean, you both junglers reset Wei's faster off the bat, though, and could try and make his way down here. Xiaohu and Strive both TPing in the mid, though, means that chances are Lane should be able to get that scuttle crop for himself and then go back to farming in his own way. Look, yeah, Wukong looks at least like maybe he'll make a quick stop off in mid, just to see if he can get help on Xiaohu on the push to contest scuttle, but no, actually just steal it away. I mean, it was a 50-50 on what side of the jungle or the river that Scuttle Crab was going to be, and Wei manages to get it.
Yeah, it was literally, is it going to be bot side or top side? The entrances of which you choose, and now we're going to see iBoy and Yuyanja taking a bit of an unfortunate trade, but it's still a Yumi and a Sivir. They should just be totally fine, and yeah, this is kind of just going to be what the bot lane is, both mid lane and junglers now, trying to see what their 2v2 is going to be like. As you can see, Wei trying to see if he can be a bit more annoying with his stop starting, and Strive just trying to make sure they can steal away this camp. It'll be very difficult to really make this one stick, though. You can see it's actually, they have to move themselves away, because remember, if you're taking the camp, you have to use the abilities to actually make something work from it. There's going to be the spell shield coming out as iBoy Gets a little bit of health back, and yeah, that's a telegraphed kind of engage you were talking about that's just so difficult to really make work.
Yeah, this skirmish is still going on topside river, though, so we've got fights across the board. I like this from Rare Adam, though. Again, going for these invades that we talked about. This is the style that Rare Adam have wanted to play, but haven't quite been able to get it to work. Now with Strive having control over mid, Leon is going for these invades, and I specifically like that it's on the bottom side. What you really want to do as Rare Adam is Strive and Leon push mid, invade bot, steal away camps, get vision control, and just allow Aibo and Yanja continue pushing in on this bottom side, hitting the tower as often as possible, getting advantages through turret plates, and Rare Adam are already trying to make that a reality. You can see again, you have camps on top side here for Lien, but he's more interested in trying to get this push here for Xiaohu and continue putting pressure on this bottom side.
Yeah, going to be able to help out Strife into Xiaohu, and we are seeing level 6s though for both mid laners, so the options for engage have greatly increased for both these teams, as now we start to wait to see where both these sides want to go for. You could end up seeing an early dragon take as well. There's going to be a mountain dragon to start us all off with, and without no real kind of contested mid lane and the bot lane just kind of sitting there farming as best they can, it is just going to go over the side of RA. So already a much better start, and like you said, it just kind of lends itself into how RA want to play the game. This is very much a style of composition that can help them out and give them advantages, which is what they so desperately need.
The biggest problem that we have seen, though, is that sometimes they can overstep on these. Specifically,
Yes.
Lien can overstep on these. So we want to see a cool, calculated run here for Rare Adam. It's a very simple game plan to operate on. They just have to make sure that they're not taking that step one too far forward. And at the moment, it looks like they're going to keep up that pressure. Strive going to be able to get blue buff on bot side here. Means he'll have the buff advantage, I believe, over Xiaohu in the mid lane. So he can continuously push for Xiaohu out of mana and prevent RNG from having Xiaohu roam two side lanes, because he just can't really get control over the mid lane. This, though, is the one moment where he can. He has got push, and it looks like they're going to instantly use that to try and dive topside.
Yep, Xiaohu's already unlocked himself from the mid lane, and you got Wei sitting here on the backside. No level 6 though for the jungler of RNG, so not quite able to set himself up for a full gank. And I think without that bit of CC, it's going to be very difficult, especially with a mini-Gnar form here, for Bree to really make that one work. But as you said, it's what RNG do best, and now we might see the Viego look to try and maybe make something happen. The bot side, Heartbreaker is available, and Strive starts to move his way down as well. He had the spell book, so he gets himself a ghost, and he's starting to move down really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, small wave, but you've so much engage here. No sixes.
No sixes. They're going to try and maybe catch them out, though. As you can see, there's Tam Kench going in. They're going to try and catch out the Senna, and they do just out. Yanja tanks up perfectly as the Yuumi. Double kill for Leyen, and he gets out with his life. That is the kind of play that RA love to set up.
And that was just really well read by Rare Adam. They saw Xiaohu leave mid. They assumed he'd gone top off the wave, but now might have stuck around that bit too long.
Yeah, I think they might have. They do have Flash still available for iBoy and a Spell Shield, but he gets caught by the charm. iBoy, oh, it was so good until it was so bad, and they trade back 2 kills. That's just a basic error.
Really good job from Xiaohu there, though. Hides the charm in the orb of possession that makes it really hard. But this was great from Rare Adam. Like, they read that Xiaohu had moved up to the top side, so they go, right, we make a play bot lane off of Strive, then pushing out the wave in response. Great dive, well orchestrated. Lien gets out, and then iBoy tries to stick around thinking, oh, I'll just clear the wave, then it can move. But watch how Xiaohu uses the orb of deception here with the charm. So he throws out the orb, but throws the charm right as the orb of deception's on the way back. So it makes it very hard for you to time that spell shield, and that's why our iBoy fell down. He really, as you say, did need to just flash, because there was no way you could have tried to time that properly with the way Xiaohu played around the orb of deception.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for the RA bot lane. After so much good had come out of it, they do end up losing out on that particular skirmish. Now they're going to try and set up themselves for this Rift Herald, but the RNG bot lane's already here. Sivir's nowhere to be found, and no teleport either, so this is just a straight-up better moment here for RNG. They have more members, they are in a much stronger position, and they get themselves the Rift Herald. So thank you very much for the leash, and they get themselves back out onto the map.
Rare Adam, I think we're relatively okay to go for that, though, because iBoy's on the bottom side here. We talked about the push already coming through, and Rare Adam, it's all about kind of just using lane advantages to get to that late game scaling that they have. Again, kind of using Strive as that bridge. And for RNG, it's like, well, where do you really try and use this, right? iBoy is just clearing out the wave immediately as soon as he gets there, and Lien going to try and put Breed behind here.
Gonna try and put Breathe in a bit of a hole, but Breathe not willing to kind of fully go onto it. I will say Breathe actually has a red buff onto him right now, so he must have done a little bit of a steal while all that was happening in the bot side. So he's actually in a much better position to be able to kind of take these trades and get the health regen coming back in for himself. So very nicely done there by the top laner of RNG to keep things interesting in the top lane. And we are starting to see a bit of a different setup here for RA. It's specifically into the Jax-Narn matchup. We saw a lot of pressure come out from RNG in the game one. Good smite there from Way to stop iBoy, who actually pops his ult to make sure he doesn't get caught out. But
I'm not gonna lie, iBoy missed the return boomerang because he moved, and that was the difference maker there.
iBoy's not having a fantastic game as of the moment. There's the replay there of the red buff being stolen. But yeah, as I was saying, like RA are playing very heavily, as you say, towards their kind of bot lane and kind of maybe setting themselves up, whereas RNG are still playing towards that top side, even if technically the Jax has an advantage into the Narn.
It's just a case of where they can actually play towards. Like, again, Gala Ming's engage is way too telegraphed to try and catch out Yuyanja and iBoy, especially now the level 6-man hit from Yuyanja. They can actually turn that around very effectively. So I like that RNG are trying to play towards top side, but it does mean again that iBoy just gets free reign here. Kraken Slayer already picked up. He will continue to push down to this bot side. You've got some wards at the back of the Dragon Pit there to try and spot any wards that are, roams that are coming in from Xiaohu. And Lian again, just helping Strive, get push mid. Now they can start to move down towards Dragon. You have to try and get push on bot side first though, because Gala and Ming had already collapsed that one under the tower and are still trying to keep that pushed in.
Yeah, does feel like they're just going to maybe try and contest around this dragon here, as RNG don't really have the push in mid or in bot. They do have the Rift Herald though, so they're probably just going to drop that and, yep, get themselves the priority here and maybe just look to try and take the whole turret himself, because you haven't got Strife really on an angle to kind of defend this just yet. He will get over there with the Glacial Path, but that's 4 plates now going over to the side of Wei and Xiaohu, so you'll gladly give over that dragon. It is a Cloud Soul, so has got some benefits, but definitely taking the gold now will benefit RNG in the short term.
I think the problem for RNG, though, is that, like, gold onto Xiaohu doesn't mean a huge amount. The advantage you would gain is if this was done, like, a few minutes ago, and maybe Xiaohu could have Everfrost, say, coming in towards this dragon fight, and then you can use that Mythic Spike to try and help you out. But Ari, you know, whether she gets the 2 items quicker isn't a major impact for the next dragon fight. She won't also get towards her second item in that time. So I think the advantage of that Rift Herald is kind of nullified just because Ari as a champion won't do a huge amount with this.
Oh, they're going to see a lot being worked here, though, into the mid lane. I will say, you got a lot of low health bars for Wei, but they flash over the wall, and they follow him right there. 2 kills over to Xiaohu. They had the damage in the 2v2, and they took it very well.
Yeah, great job from Wei there, managing to get the knock up on the Cyclone. You get all the damage across both members with the Orb of Deception, and just so much damage coming through from the Divine Sunder or Wukong at this early stage means that they tear them apart. And this is why Wukong is so terrifying when he does have that ultimate at this stage. Like, level 8, they spot Lian, and Lian knows instantly that he needs to get out of here, but just the Cyclone damage is doing so much with the Divine Sunder.
Yeah, Divine Sunder, and of course you have the Dawning Shadow off the back of that as well, so it will mean a full set of plates, a full dinner in the mid lane there for Xiaohu as he gets that tower down, and honestly that opens up quite a lot here for the side of RNG. You're able to kind of open up this Ahri even more and get her roaming around and influencing the map like Xiaohu loves to do.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of saying, look, Xiaohu won't be able to carry a game when it comes to damage if he hits a second item faster, but I mean, the fact he now has 3 kills means that he can actually push this mid wave way more effectively against Drive than he has been able to do prior, especially with the Luden's Echo now, and that opens up Xiaohu now to actually start roaming, and this is how Xiaohu needs to start using this effectively. And you can already see he's kind of like backing off, trying to play around the Fog of War and moving up towards this top side. Then Breathe can try and catch this wave effectively and just continue moving from side to side and trying to keep Rare Adam at bay.
Yeah, and already now with Ming and Gala hitting level 8 respectively each, you're going to start to have a lot more safety in this bot side. Still don't have the Dawning Shadow, but Lian I have to use his flash here in a second. I will say, though, there are 4 members here as Way needs to get himself out. The Devourer is available should they need it, and they will. They will get a TP, though, and that's going to be Nara joining in. The Jack's going to be jumping on the top side or bottom side of this map, though, as Strife already goes down. They're going to have to get the flash out of iBoy as an exhaust goes in. He gets the charm, though, and Xiaohu's still pushing in. He's trying to get a 1v2. Very difficult to do this, though, into a Yumi. Flash away the Orb of Deception. The Ignite is good, but they're chasing down Cube on the bot side of this play. He jumps to his own ward and will be able to survive. It ends up being a 1-for-1 as both mid laners end up falling.
RNG, though, come out with the healthier health bars, which means that they can actually get this bottom tier 1 for themselves as well. Looks like Rare Adam going to try and respond in kind of the mid lane, but shouldn't be able to get this tower before RNG are able to come back off of reset. So nice reactions from RNG to get to the play faster and be more grouped as that comes through. Rift Herald is here for Rare Adam, though. They have to do this quickly, though, because RNG are coming off with resets and item advantage. And they should be able to clear this out, but if RNG can get to this fight, it can be kind of terrifying for Rare Adam.
Yeah, you don't have Flash or Cyclone here for the Wukong, so he's just kind of finding himself in a position. Is it going to be a smite steal? It is. Oh, so
of course it is.
Of course it's a smite steal. Of course they're able to get it. You cannot get an objective that RNG are contesting you for.
I don't understand how Wade does this all the time. Like, it's actually disgusting.
So
Every time you're just like, oh, maybe, but no. But watch here, right? You've already got 3 members of RNG in the vicinity. Strive takes a bunch of damage off the Divine Sunder hit right before it comes through. He has to go golden, and you just don't have the damage from iBoy initially to try and follow this up. And I think a great job here from Yanja to keep iBoy alive with the heals, exhaust, and to Xiaohu to mean that iBoy can actually turn this one around. But it means that iBoy is completely separated from this fight, whereas RNG, for the large majority of this fight, are staying clumped as one and are able to finish off the members, or at least push back the members of Rare Adam and give themselves control over the bot side.
I will say, iBoy would have loved to get that 650 gold shut down onto Xiaohu, but sadly it goes over to Yuyanja. Will be picking up his Chemtech Putrefier on his next item, so that does help a little bit with the Grievous Wounds, of course, to be able to kind of help out his team a little bit more than he at the moment he is, but still, definitely would have loved that to go onto your AD carry, but wasn't to be. You still get the gold, you still get the kill. It is only about a 2,000 gold lead now, but RA are not able to keep the dragons stacking because of everything they used in that last fight. They don't have any combat summoners on Yuyanja, no flash on iBoy. They don't feel comfortable going for that dragon, so already you're starting to see the game kind of elongate here. And yes, RA have got some great late game scaling tools. It does feel like with Ascena, permanently scaling into the late game, you do not want to go too far into it without, kind of having at least some kind of an answer. Woo, Strife. Nicely done there.
They're missing out on windows here as Rare Adam. Like, Lian needed to be moving down towards that bottom side as RNG committed to the dragon to try and punish Xiaohu. But because Xiaohu was just untouched, continuously shoving in the bot side, you never actually get to make a cross map or try and answer anything back for that play. So it'll just be a case of Rare Adam pushing out waves. And I love that Xiaohu was going for that play because he knows that he's going to be safe, right? Like, even if Lian shows up, he's still going to have the Spirit Rush. He should be able to get out of the any sort of issues he has, but it just means that there's a constant pressure point on the bottom side, so Rare Adam aren't able to make a play for that top tier 1 like they would have loved to try and trade effectively. And now, because they've reset, Breathe is actually going to be the one that gets this top tier 1 instead.
Yeah, he's going to make sure the wave dies as much as possible as well before he takes that one out. So it's all outer turrets now taken by RNG. They open up that map a little bit more, and you can see it getting a little bit darker here for RA. You do have the Shadow Flame now for Xiaohu, so we'll have some pretty decent damage into the targets like iBoy, of course, with getting that extra shielding. But we'll wait to see now where he wants to try and take this next pressure point. There's no dragon. The Baron will be up in a minute 10, but neither team... Well, I suppose actually RA have a decent Baron take setup, but not really in position where if you're committing to that Baron, you're just fishing a barrel. So RNG and RA probably going to be avoiding that one for at least another 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think the big question is more the Rift Herald play. I thought that we'd actually see RNG shove in mid here and then try and rotate topside, but you can see the problem that you have when facing a Sivir. Her wave clear is insane at this point in the game, so trying to use wave advantage in mid, where you've got the AD carries matching, just becomes way too difficult to try and deal with. So instead, they're going to try and have Ari shove in bot side, Breathe, threaten the top tier 1, and then try and use this Rift Herald on bot side so it's away from where the Sivir is, and they can actually try and use that advantage.
Wei is going to start running out of that, though, very soon. He needs to make a decision pretty damn quickly, and already, like you said, they're going to look towards that bot side. Ming and Gala roaming down, making sure they're in a position to be able to make this one work for their team. And Gala, with that Umbral Glaive, it just becomes so difficult to maintain vision. This is the power of the Senna, I feel. Like this is something that people just kind of forget about it. Yes, she does have infinite scaling and is good healing as well, but the fact that you just can't control any kind of vision around your own jungle just makes it so difficult. They get a second charge off this, perhaps. No, they're going to back away from it.
And you can see Xiaohu TPing to mid lane as well to make sure that there wasn't any threat onto the tier 1 of mid to try and answer for that. So at least RNG getting themselves slowly but surely back into the game. And it's unfortunate for Rare Adam because things started off so incredibly well for them, but, you know, just misplays on the team fight on the bottom side, not being actually able to get that tier 1 on bot side because Strive and Lien couldn't really get down there, weren't able to use the advantage the Strive had to roam bot side and look for more of those dives. Even botching the aftermath of their initial dive they went for meant that RNG were able to keep within touching distance, and now we're starting to see the RNG mid game come alive where they are so good at using their wave states to get advantages, creating pressure points in the map that Rare Adam just can't deal with.
Now we start to look towards where this game can go. Of course, there's no real soul for another 7-8 minutes as such, really, for RA. So where do you want to see them kind of like push the issue? Because they're not too far down. Yes, it's 4,000 gold, but they have got tools available to them. How do you want to see them use those tools?
So for RNG, I think the best bet is, as you can see, like shove in sides with Ari, create pressure points with her, use the fact that she has the Spirit Rush to mean that you can't just fully commit on top of her. Like Strive can't 1v1, so you'd need both Strive and Lien to commit. Xiaohu then tries to go for the Spirit Rush and get out of the any sort of issue that you find, and then try and create numbers advantage with Xiaohu being able to roam. The biggest problem that you have though is like because iBoy can clear out these waves super effectively, it more so becomes a case of like trying to establish vision control off of these pushes like you're seeing from RNG right now, because trying to threaten a turret without Baron is essentially impossible with the amount of wave clear that Rare Adam have on their side.
It's going to be interesting to see if they can burn down Breed, but yeah, I don't think they quite really had the position on it there. We'll say he has basically no magic resistance as Breed does end up seeing the Glacial Path coming out, so backs himself away. And now RNG recognizes quite a few members of RA in this top side. Ming, gotta try and see if he can catch out Lien, who does have to use the Heartbreaker. So again, little small moments like this that are just kind of plaguing RA's gameplay. They look to kind of half look for something on Breed, but then RNG just reacts so much better to them and say, look, well, if you're here, we can definitely get something off from you.
Yeah, it also means that they're not in a position there to try and threaten onto that top turret. Like, they could have moved Lien and Strive with Yanja up towards this top side to potentially threaten that and still have iBoy there to cover any sort of mid-push, but that's not really possible now because you don't really have Lien in full strength. So now another kind of window closes for Rare Adam.
I mean, look at this. This is a disgusting amount of damage coming out. Strive almost getting taken down. Dawning Shadow not quite able to hit him, because you have to use that engage tool now on yourself just to survive. And again, we're seeing RA look like they might be able to position themselves for something, and they just have to back away because they just can't quite get the execution.
And Cube isn't able to push in bot side either because, I mean, it's an ultimate from Gala. It's not like Gala's had to overcommit towards that top side. RNG didn't even get spotted moving up top end, so Breathe is only now pushing at that bot wave fully, which means that by the time it hits the tower, you can see that Breathe should be in a position to try and match the push here from Cube. So overall, it's just making map movements really, really difficult for Rare Adam. And again, we're seeing this slow creep of vision from RNG in towards this top side now that the Baron has been taken. And again, like, just watch the way, like, people like Wei are playing around the lack of control of the map. Like, Wei is consistently just hiding outside of pockets of vision, so you never really know if he's leaning in towards a topside play, if he's potentially linking up a Breathe on the bot side, and might need more help here in the mid lane for Rare Adam, as this is going to be a fight.
Full 5v5 coming out. They do get the TP coming in. Breathe is on the backside. He gets exhausted immediately. Flash by Ming. Keeps him safe as Lien now looking for the Gnar. Ooh, bad ultimate there from Breed as they can finally flash in on top of some pretty big targets. Xiaohu goes into stasis, but he's got himself the Spirit Rush. Cube is still pretty stealthy, as is iBoy. It's a bit of a bad fight, very scrappy from both sides. No one goes down. There's no real objective to take, and everyone just kind of backs away without anyone dying.
Really messy fight from RNG, though. Like, this actually could have been a great engage, but looked like Breed kind of jumped the gun a little bit quicker than the rest of RNG were ready to go with. And then he tries to readjust mid-fight, which doesn't quite work out. So now you've got a ton of flashes blown on RNG's side. In Ming, Gala, Wei as well, which could be crucial for things like a Baron contest or even the Dragon in 2.5 minutes' time.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit of an interesting fight there, but RNG might start to pressure now on top of this Baron. They're looking to try and maybe just gain control, but look at the sustain coming out from Gala right now. You can see how hard it is for the damage to really stick. It looks like they're just going to try and find some people out. They're going to try and jump onto Strife here. The Glacial Path, though, keeps him relatively safe. And RA, they can't be resting on the laurels. They can't be waiting in these areas to try and think that they're going to be able to get away without any kind of contest. Oh, that's, yeah, not quite sure why you needed to walk back in there. But he did, and he dies.
Yeah, and now you've got a major issue that Cube isn't really in a position to try and contest here. RNG actually just going to look for Strive immediately here.
Yeah, I mean, where's he going to go? He has nowhere to be. Cyclone comes out. The Charm will whiff, but they've already gotten the Frozen Tomb. Zanya's to come out afterwards as well. He's trying his very best, but Strife has absolutely no way out of this one here. And honestly, this is just RNG doing what RNG do best, where they pick up the pace, they change gears. I will say, though, you still have iBoy and Yuyanja. That is a fully stacked Sivir with a Yuumi on top of her, so this could be a bit of a big fight.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have Leanne, it's still 3v2. The AoE damage from iBoy would be insane in this pit. You need to try and get on towards him, and it looks like Breathe is just going to play bodyguard here. Push them out of the pit so that damage can't ricochet across everyone on RNG's side. Mid lane push, though, means that iBoy should get mid tower just off of the damage that he has and the fact it's half health. But no, just going to back away with Baron recalls coming in. They're going to... Actually, I thought they'd even just establish vision control in this bottom side. Looks like Rare Adam not really sure what they can achieve at the moment.
Yeah, we're going to go all the way back to where Liang got caught out, because again, it's just RNG sniffing, hunting, and exactly what you talked about earlier. How can we fight a Sivir? Right, we don't. We're nowhere near her. We're nowhere near fighting in a straight 5v5 because they know that the Sivir's just going to be able to output more damage.
And that's exactly why I was focusing on the vision control, like trying to use that vision and topside to then hunt for picks. The fact that they got Cube's TP out in the initial fight before that as well meant that they knew they had a numbers advantage spotting Cube on the bottom side of the map. So nice job from RNG. And now with Dragon here, this is where it gets a little bit worse for wear for Rare Adam.
Yeah, you can see Wei pushing forward. They will land the Charm there onto the Cube, and the Jack's taking a hell of a lot of damage. Strife now trying to make something work. The Dawning Shadow comes off to try and zone off iBoy, but look at Ming. He's 1v2 right there because he knows how powerful he can be. They jump straight onto iBoy, and once the cat's out of the bag, he's dead in the river. Now Cube trying to run away as Yuyanja tries to keep his top laner alive. You can see so much coming out here from RNG, and they've just kicked it up a notch.
And now you've got this massive wave that's about to crash on bot side that they can go and meet as well. RNG once more showing why they are so strong in this mid-game. Mid-game miracles galore with finding these fights that they can take against Rare Adam, controlling the waves beautifully. And now they're going to try to reap those rewards. Push on bot side, Xiao who's in mid lane. And how do you try and contest this at the same time as well? Wukong's on Dragon. They're literally doing everything right now.
They're getting absolutely everything. Honestly, feel like the smartest team in the LPL right now. They just know how to play the map so damn precisely. And there's just not a lot you can do. Deathcap was finished up from Xiaohu just before that fight came in. That's still a 3-item Sivir, but iBoy couldn't do anything because look at the items on the Tam Kench. Watch Ming in this, because Ming just literally goes, iBoy, you're not participating. You're not able to kill me, and I'm going to do my job.
And Cube as well, getting caught out there. Counter-Strike, not going to do very much against the Charm. Strive, super squishy at the moment, instantly deleted by the engage from Breathe. And again, Gala untouched on the backside. Xiao Hu playing as a pseudo-engage tool. iBoy dead to Breathe. Like, this is all just gorgeous stuff coming through from RNG.
Yeah, it really is. More gorgeous stuff. Breathe finding a solo kill on the top side. That's just, again, Gnar things. We're seeing why people put such an emphasis on this pick, what it can do. And yeah, he just runs him down. You don't have Flash, you don't have a Yuumi. It's a 3-item Sivir, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think, like, Rare Adam just missed the boat. Leanne and Strive needed to play harder into this bottom side. Yes, you've got 3 items on this Sivir, but unfortunately the better team fight coming through from RNG, the lack of any real gold now for Rare Adam is just causing major issues. Second inhibitor going to fall. A third could be on the way here on that top side if they want to, as Breathe is already shoving that one in.
Oh, they look to try and take out Gala, and they will. That's going to be his first death of the entire series coming out here. Sorry, second. He did die a little bit earlier there. Devour comes out to keep Way alive, and Breathe as well will get exhausted as Strife with a ghost off the spell book, trying to make sure this play continues to happen. You don't have Xiaohu here, who's probably all of your damage, to be perfectly honest. Breathe doing a fairly decent job of keeping this interesting, but RA will punish the overextension, as RNG do have to kind of send themselves a little bit of a slap on the wrist, saying, all right, you have to respect them still a little bit.
Hey, good amount of go going into iBoy as well. I love the fact that Rare Adam gifted that kill over towards iBoy. So a 550 gold bounty shut down onto Breed will go straight into the AD carry. And again, remember, like, so much of Sivir requires her to hit that late game point to get that extra crit chance. So she scales up her boomerang blade. More AoE damage coming out in these team fights. And at the moment, sitting not quite at the 80% mark, sitting about 75%, so still has a little bit of a way to go, but definitely giving that extra bit of gold now gives the last whisper. So maybe in one good fight where there's a ton of AoE they can look for it, but it's a real stretch, and iBoy's just been getting caught so much.
I do love how you had to say maybe twice just to really emphasize. It's like, now hang on now. I'm not telling you there's a chance. I'm saying there might be a maybe of a chance.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. So what Rare Adam need to do is camp a bush. Strive goes in, massive 4 or 5 man W into the ultimate. That's where you get the Q across the board from iBoy. Ricochet blades bouncing every which way. Kraken Slayer procs coming across like crazy. That's the fight. That's where, and then you get
Crowd
like a
goes
follow-up counter
wild,
strike.
everyone screaming, going, "I boy, I boy, I boy." That's what they need. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then iBoy wakes up in his room. His Uzi poster still on the wall. His mom is calling him down for lunch and dinner.
The
know,
LPL
like,
was all a dream. The LPL never existed. It was all a dream. Europe and NA have been fighting for supremacy in League of Legends as it never came to the East. But it can always happen. You never know sometimes. But the Lord Dominic's Regard has been picked up for iBoy. He is on kind of bot lane duty at the moment. 2 waves of super minions coming in from mid and bot means that RA are fairly well pinned. I will say you got some pretty decent wave clear on the side of RA alongside the Jax, the Sivir, and of course the Lissandra. So you're not really too hindered with these super minions coming in, but you leave it too long where you're gathered like this. And Dagda, looks like they picked up your iBoy playbook because they're looking for a bit of a pick themselves.
Charm goes wide. Wait, Strive? No, not quite able to get enough there.
Not quite. Now alongside the Jax, the Sivir, and of course Lissandra. So you're not really too hindered with these again, but you leave it too long where you're gathered like this. And Dagda, looks like they picked up your iBoy playbook themselves.
Charm goes wide. Wait, Strive? No, not quite able to get enough there.
Not quite. Now Strive already taken down to about a tenth of his HP. The Dawning Shadow just a little bit too early his way, taking a lot of damage himself. They will kill off Cube as here come the reset. Not quite able to make it happen as the VA go. Ooh, iBoy, he almost did it there. Now Gala says, I'm the superior support, even though I'm an AD carry. And that's going to be an almost perfect setup there for iBoy. While it's all been happening, Breathe, he's ended the game, Dagda.
I mean, Strive just needs to clip one more person with the Ring of Frost, and iBoy could have done it. The health bars were so low, but that's the power of the late game Sivir. But unfortunately, RNG may not let them get any more here. 2-man push in the mid. Strive is left. You got to do something before these towers go down.
He can't. There's nothing for him to do. I think he realizes that the game is over, and he's just going to try and maintain his life. 0, 4, and 7 for Strive. Really not the game he wanted to be having. And that is RNG with the clean 2-0. They get themselves back up to 9 wins, and they're almost locked in for playoffs.
Before these towers go down.
He can't. There's nothing for him to do. I think he realizes that the game is over, and he's just going to try and maintain his life. 0, 4, and 7 for Strife. Really not the game he wanted to be having. And that is RNG with the clean 2-0. They get themselves back up to 9 wins, and they're almost locked in for playoffs.
Very, very close. And the fact that they get the 2-0 win as well is going to be spectacular for RNG as well. Now going to be pushing up towards that +9 in the scoreboard as well. I mean, they still got a way to go when you look across like top esports, JDG, and V5. Obviously, you have like the extra win in hand, but it's definitely going to help them significantly against some of the teams that are chasing them, like Weibo, who are 8-4. Anyone's Legend, as well.
O OPA fica muito
It will still be very good for him to be able to try and set that one up for himself and his team. They go around this competition out with support here on side TT. But also, the Bron can do very, very well. Like I said, still very short range competition. The Bron will be nice, trying to stop the onslaught literally going out from FBX. He can get that push down, but it's going to be very quick pick and bank. I think both teams happy with what's left on the board. Okay, coming out from Clear. Got a new pick coming out here onto the patch.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot to dissect here. TT, very much a disengaged style. Like, this is kind of a protect the Kepler style of composition. And we got a lot of lockdown, a lot of CC when we get to the later portion of the game. And not a huge amount of ways to start off fights, though. You're heavily reliant on, like, a flash engage. Excuse me, coming through from Beishuan. Hoya getting some kind of Mega Nair ultimate off. But they do have a lot of tools in the early stages where UCal should be able to roam and try to get that game snowballing in their favor. And although when we look across at FPX, they have got like counterpick for someone in the top lane in the Aurelia. They have like things like the Silas, which is incredibly strong on this patch. I'm a bit worried about them when it comes towards just how many dashes are in their kit. Because you're looking at the Poppy there, that steadfast presence is going to be a nuisance for the Aurelia. She won't be able to dash around fights in the way that she wants to. Even if you end up getting ganked, a lot of Aurelia's safety comes from that mobility, which won't be able to be a factor as much. Looking towards our Silas as well, we actually talked about how against a Talia he can struggle. Same idea with a Poppy. He abscond, abduct, Kingslayer, all three of those very much focusing on that mobility. So I think you've got a good opportunity here for God, I'm blanking on his name now. TT's jungler, which I just said. Thank you, Beishuan. Cheers. For Beishuan to actually be a real pain in the side of FPX.
Yeah, I think the Poppy does exceptionally well at just kind of really stopping a lot of what FBX want to try and do. We'll wait and see how it all ends up kind of panning out. I am curious to see what the Rise can do as well, but we are going to jump onto the Rift. It is going to be game one of this best of three between FBX and TT. Remember, this is big playoff implications. TT down in 11, sitting on 4 and 6. Very, very difficult for them to try and make this something work if they go up to 4 and 7. But on the other side of that, FBX 5 and 6, not exactly a million miles away from the Thunder Talk Gaming team. And honestly, I feel like both teams are going to be scrapping it out for any kind of an advantage as we finally do jump onto the Rift.
The big question, though, is how we start to see these teams interact. We already kind of touched on the fact that Care has been... Oh, actually, hang on, might get some action here.
A little bit of action. Remember, Braum has the best, probably arguably the best level 1 of anyone in the league. But we will see the ward being taken out immediately. Didn't have to use a sweeper for that. But yeah, CTT trying to utilize that power for themselves. Like I said, the biggest question coming in for you is going to be how these junglers kind of interact. And honestly, for me, it's going to be about how we see Care kind of move around the map. Because we were talking a little bit in our own little time in rehearsal, and you were saying that Care, the way he moves around the map, even just to create these little small pockets of fog of war to create advantages for him and his team, is honestly incredible to watch.
It's really interesting, but unfortunately I feel like with this matchup it becomes very difficult for him to achieve. You will get pushed in consistently by UCal on this Rise. It actually is a real difficult matchup for Care, and a lot relies on trying to counteract the ultimate. So if UCal goes bot, you take his ultimate and go top. It's about trying to cross map in this where you can actually shove in the wave as the Silas. Now, when you get to, the mid game, that's where Silas can offer a little bit more in team fights. But certainly in this laning phase, it will be incredibly tough for FPX to rely on Care in the manner that they have. Especially when you look at LWX and Hung already taking these rough trades in the bottom side.
Yeah, that's kind of how it's supposed to go. You don't really have that much. We saw it in the last game in our last series where the Xena and Tam Kench is fine post level 6, but pre level 6 you will just fall down about 20 CS or so. It is just par for the course, and we will see them kind of maybe work towards this one. I'm curious to see now what someone can do now on this kind of a carry champion, because if you've been watching him so far in the LPL, he has played a little bit, I wouldn't say passive, but definitely a little bit more towards the weak side. A bit more self-sufficient is probably a better way to put it. A bit more self-sufficient in a way he's only been kind of setting himself up and not really been looking to try and garner resources from Clade. And so curious now with the Aurelia, if he can get some of those resources, it can be a huge change in momentum.
Yeah, I think he will definitely need it. And if I'm Beishuan, honestly, I'd be trying to focus this top side. He is moving down to the bot side, feeling like he has a gank here, though. And we'll get in behind LWX. They have no idea.
No, they've absolutely no clue, and they're walking forward now. We're going to see them try and maybe make this one work. They get Yao going in. They're going to try and get the land, the concussive blows. They do, but it's just a little bit too late. The root does stop anything else from coming out, so LWX will get out with his life. Does lose both his summoners, but it's a trade of 3 for 2.
Beishuan walked directly over Hung as he was using the Abyssal Dive out. Now, Clede's going to charge him mid.
Yeah, they're going to look for him here. They're going to be able to land him. The Skondum Duck, they're getting a hell of a lot of damage. The flash over the side means that he will be able to keep himself alive. And Clint making some early game plays now on this Hecarim. And honestly, the power you have with this champion, people kind of forget that devastating charge is, in fact, devastating.
especially when you use the ghost. This is why old school Hecarim, when we saw him a lot, this was something you had to keep an eye out for. Level 4, running in towards the mid lane to just cause so many issues for these control mages. And now Hoya.
Oh, Hoya, he needs to be so careful. That's just a bit of a mistake, but a fantastic capitalization from someone who's already starting to become that self-sufficient top laner that I was talking about.
And this is where you got to try and look at like how TT can shut this one down, because this is why I was saying I wanted to see Beishuan playing up towards the top side. You had push from UCal, opportunity to set up a wave crash where you rotate up with Hoya, 3-man dive onto top side, sets him up behind. Even if it's not a case of you get the kill, just being able to put some up behind is so key, because as you can see, the second he gets any sort of advantage, Summit has been fantastic at pushing those leads. And now with the kill and also with the Vamp Scepter, it's going to be so much more difficult to try and keep this guy in check.
Yeah, the Vamp Scepter is huge. Not only that, Hoya didn't have enough to pick up the steel-plated toe cap, so he's not really in a position to be able to take this one. But here we go, a nice little hit there with the Flawless Duet, and it's just basically simple elementary from there.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunate for Hoya, where you end up with the Q and the auto coming through right before he can fill his Narbar. Maybe that could have been the difference maker in keeping his life, but now Summit again, landing these flawless duets so consistently. And again, this is where it gets a little bit worrisome for Beishuan, because you would like to be able to gank Summit up on this top side, but without having information on where Clid is, you can see with the pings going down, they don't want to go for this. Maybe they reconsider as they spot Hecarim onto his Raptors though.
Yeah, they know that he's there, but at the same time, it's very difficult to remember, because remember, Hoya lost his flash. Summit didn't, so Summit still has that protection tool available to him. So we'll see how that top lane ends up going. And honestly, for Beishuan, going up against his old organization, Beishuan was behind the likes of Tien and even Bo back in 2021, moved on to TT, has found himself a home here, really is starting to work well with the likes of UCal and Hoya, but coming against a very new, revitalized FBX, who honestly are, not even honestly, they are a completely different team except for LWX in the bot lane.
I mean, it's been a bit of an impressive rendition to see the movements that FPX have made in the offseason, but they will not be able to kind of keep towards what has been their bread and butter for this split at least, which is trying to go towards these dragons early. TT instead going to be able to move over towards that one and pick that one up for themselves. And I like the fact that we kind of saw TT setting this one up. Slow push coming in on the bottom side. I was curious to see how they were going to try and utilize this though, if they wanted to try and go towards dragon, or if Yoya would reset and maybe try and make a play up top side, because Clid now will be able to steal away some camps on top. You got a big wave that's about to crash into the top side. And also, Care just hit 6. I think Care's going to steal this ultimate, and we can look for a potential dive on top end.
Yeah, Hoya coming in now to see if he can maybe deal with this. There is no smite here on Clid, so he's actually just going to have to give this one up. So not really ideal there for the Hecarim jungler. Kind of just wastes a little bit of time. And while he's been attempting a red buff steal, the actual red buff on his side has been taken away as Summit does get his stacks up and going to go straight in. There's the Vanguard's edge in, but the flawless duet isn't flawless just yet. Now Clid coming in on the top side. They're going to be able to get a devastating charge down. It is going to be tanking up by Summit though at the moment, and this isn't really working. While that's been happening though, you did have a roam down this bot side as the Tam Ken's tried to turn it around, and we do end up getting 2 kills there. Hoya survives the onslaught, and they just turn it around on bot side for TT.
It's just the numbers advantage. Care didn't take the ultimate in mid, so wasn't able to join in that play on top side. Hoya was able to delay that play so long that he's able to survive, and instead, UCal goes, right, cool, Beishuan, you, me, let's go bot, let's get some kills.
And this is just a really strange passage of play. We're probably going to go down towards that bot side. And yeah, again, exactly what you said. It's just UCal and Beishuan having a numbers advantage, no level 6. It's almost like a carbon copy of what we saw against RNG, because the 7-time Kench is so susceptible to these kind of moments when they don't have access to their ultimates.
And you can see Hung there desperately trying to get a kill back for themselves, but not able to. And because you get that wave pushed in and great reset timing, TT now get to come back out onto the map, pick up the Rift Tower for themselves. Yes, you're getting Hung push it in on bot side, but I mean, Kepler now just gets to walk straight down towards the bot side, or actually Care.
Why did you walk up on that, my friend? That's just not something you need to be doing. FBX, this is very not what we want to be seeing from them. We talked about them flying high. That's why we had the question mark at the top of the title, because sometimes these things just happen with this squad.
Yeah, I mean, realistically though, TT are doing a fantastic job here. Now trying to see if they can catch Summit on top end as well. They do know that Yukal's on a ward, so Summit trying to see if he can stop his back, keep him interested in top side, but won't be the case. Either way though, a bit of a gold lead now, about 500 opening up for TT. 2 kills for Yukal, the ability to continue pushing these waves and start to roam around. He's also the one with Rift Herald, so we'll keep our eyes on this Rift Herald to see if Yukal wants to just drop it in mid, or if we get some really cheeky Realm Warp Rift Herald plays. Holy moly, that was a sentence.
That's a mouthful. That's a mouthful and a half coming out. But yeah, honestly, I'm very excited to see what we can do. And I think Yukal has been one of the big standouts of recent days that kind of has honestly just pulled themselves up and said, right, I can't be making these mistakes. I can't be the one throwing these games away. So really impressed to see him kind of turn a corner, honestly, and make use of himself on this Rise. And the Rise is something we haven't really seen that much. It's kind of been trickled about there, but it still has so much capabilities of making things work. And speaking of making things work, we are going to see Clint and Claire, the CC combination in the mid lane going up against the trio of TTs, but TT just not willing to take that bait just yet. They don't really have a huge amount of damage as of the moment, and they don't feel comfortable taking a full 3v3.
You don't mess with the Yaoshuan duo. Beishuan and Yao Yao are everywhere together the second they get these sorts of advantages, and always giving those resources to Yukal. So you can see there, just sitting, maybe looking for a pick, just getting some vision control on the spot side. And with the amount that they've already set up, it definitely feels like the play here is Yukal now TPing back into mid with the Crown of the Shattered Queen. He's going to shove mid, instantly roam bot side, look for the Realm Warp into that Rift Tower play onto the bot tower. But you can see that FPX are trying to already be in a position for that, with Clid being on this bottom side. Care needs to get a reset before this play on the bot side happens.
Well, he's looking for a reset, but at the moment he's currently being pushed back by Yukal, who's just abusing him in this matchup. The extra range, the extra kind of damage you're able to get down, and we will see now the Gravitum come out here as Yao Yao gets a good Glacial Fissure across 2 of them. They're going to try and get the Realm Warp here as well, as Yukal's find himself back in familiar territory. There's a Devour, though, really nicely done here by the FBX bot lane to keep themselves alive. You do have Clid on the backside of this one here, and so does Care, who TP'd in. But at the end of the day, no one goes down, but they're still hunted here as TT.
Yeah, Care just about got that reset we're talking about in to make it down to this bottom side to cover the play. Now Summit finding Hoya, knowing there's no one about.
There's no one about. It's a straight 1v1, but very difficult to make that one stick, even with full stacks in the Conqueror, and of course on the passive there for the Aurelia, not quite able to make that one stick. But you can see Hoya really struggling now on this top side, and it's honestly been kind of left on an island really by TT. TT kind of said, look Hoya, I'm very sorry. You're going to have to sort yourself out, because bot lane is where we're looking to capitalize.
And Blade of the Rune King completed by Summit makes that matchup so much more difficult. And TT, as you say, just going to go, right, well, Hoya, you take your beatings. We're going to go for dragons. We're going to start stacking these. And no Cloud Soul means that TT may actually reap the benefits from this. But FPX, with Summit roaming down, want to answer.
I mean, they used an awful lot of ultimates in the bot lane as TT, so not really that afraid here, as FPX still had the hijack, still had the onslaught of shadows. So yeah, they're just able to kind of roam down someone who had the priority in top side and just kind of make use of this move. So really nicely done there by FPX. It will be an Infernal Soul, so very hotly contested for both teams. And yeah, FPX a little bit shaky there for a few minutes, but they've stabled the ship again.
This is what we're talking about though, with Summit being able to use his wave state really effectively to actually get these advantages for FPX. Because we saw him take that heavy trade against Hoya, and he knew that Hoya had the TP, but what he really wanted to do was get that TP out of Hoya, because Summit was going to be able to push the wave regardless. It's very easy as Aurelia when you're uncontested in lane, and then be able to start roaming down, knowing that Hoya had to TP back to the top side. And it's these like little things that have made such a big difference for FPX, where it's not like Summit needs Clid there, right, to make that play happen. He already has the advantages from the counter pick or from the matchup, but being able to utilize them effectively to then look at how that can support the team is why Summit's been such a good addition to FPX.
And look at the map, everyone's on a bit of a, kind of a rift-wide reset, as you would say. Crown of the Shattered Queen picked up for Yukal, so recognizing there is an awful lot of burst available between the Hecarim and the Silas in that mid lane kind of combination, so doesn't want to get caught out by that. Blade of the Ruined King has been finished up here for Summit, as we do see the Umbral Glaive as well for LWX. So FPX on a pretty decent power spike, and Hoya, he's going to get locked up here by the Flawless Duet. He will get into Mega Gnar, and you can see Summit very aware of that. Doesn't want to go too far underneath the tower, but this matchup's becoming unplayable here for the Gnar. Oh,
I mean, it's
no.
already gone for.
Oh,
Smite
dear.
to stop the recess. It's
Yeah,
over.
It's a little
Oh,
bit
is it?
over.
Clid?
Oh, it's going to see the onslaught of shadows coming. Flash away by Hoya. Clid almost goes down there, but someone now chasing him down. Care as well, saying, look, I will find you, little man. I don't care if you're in your pajamas. And, ooh, as I say that, Hoya, he's making this one interesting. And now they recognize there's 3 people topside, so they're going to try and make this one more beneficial for TT in the bot lane. LWX trying to see if he can run away. The Dawning Shadow, not quite enough. It ends up being a trade of 1-for-1. UCal, though, still pushing on this bot side. Clint is here to flash into him, though. Means you will trade it back in. 2 kills for UCal. 4-0 on 1. UCal in this rise is popping off.
And Kepler is going to be able to get this bot line turn as well. So good roams from TT. 2 kills, a terror traded back and forth. Means that TT will still get to keep their lead. Full control over this bot side as well. Looks like they're going to take every camp from Clid on this bot side of the map and make sure he just has no reason to be down here. Rift Herald, though, is up and available. And with FPX having control over top side, they will at least get that objective for themselves as well. And we'll have to see if they can put more of these resources into Summit on the side lane and get more of the terrors for this. It is up and available map. And make sure
Sense of like an analysis or an analysis. Things of time don't really feel that comfortable for him, so it is a little bit of learning curve trying to whip the battle back for himself. But they lose the next TT back themselves away and they're going to as well.
I think that is a little unfair to say still because he's had 4 members of the lane every single time. And to be fair, he's been doing a fantastic job with these to actually keep LWX safe. Like, he's doing everything in his parity, even when he looked at the issue himself from Bayshore. He was on the abyssal dive that actually caught out Bayshore and stopped them from being able to dive. So I honestly think Hung has been having a great game. It's just really unfortunate that TT put so many resources bot side, but it is like bot lane suffers so Summit can live, and Clid and everyone now going to make sure that Summit's having a fantastic time right now.
Yeah, they will shatter the crown of the Shattered Queen as they try and push this one in. The Rift Herald should get her charge off and get themselves onto the tower. And then the dragon spawning in 14 seconds. That's going to be the next focus here for FBX. They are going to try and utilize this big power spike where they've got the Turbo Chem Tank and the Everfrost here onto the Silas. I will say, though, the Seraph's Embrace is going to be stacked up here for UCal, and he's already TPing in with an exhaust in hand. So he's in a position to try and maybe contest this one here. Care and Clid looking to try and get onto the backside, and they're able to steal away the Gnar ultimate to get himself into the wall. They're trying to jump onto base.
Flashing over the wall.
And Care just having to walk away from that one there, but you can see the carries of TT, Kepler, and UCal, 303 and 403 respectfully. They are just huge in these fights.
And this was a great engage from Care here. But with Kepler flashing over the wall, he's now out to safety. UCal is still only TPing in, so a huge amount is dumped onto the front line. But watch Kepler, right? Summit would love to be able to threaten him, but you got Yao Yao who's sitting right there beside him as well, making sure that he's going to be totally fine. So Summit knows the second he goes in, he's just going to be CC'd down, although Shuriken's going to go directly into his face, so actually not able to commit to the fight, and that's why the death ball of TT could continue moving on forward onto the rest of FPX.
It's a big kind of proponent of the Rise, the ultimate, to set up yourself, to put yourself in a better position to. He was bot lane, all of a sudden he's right beside Kepler, so very difficult for FPX to really go for something there. 2,500 gold, going to sneak itself up to about 3,000. They are going to try and maybe punish Hoya here. Does have flash and ultimate, but they are willing to fully commit to this one here. He hops away, they smite him off, but he's dead. Nothing he can really do here as he's going to try and flash to delay a little bit more time. Execute comes onto LWX as Hung actually needs to be a little bit careful. Yeah, that's huge.
LWX there's huge. Yeah. Now you get to push. This is a disaster. Like, LWX needed to survive. You won't get bot tower now, and you're losing it. That's a massive blunder from LWX.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a moment there for LWX where they end up getting themselves another tower in mid, a tower in top as well. You trade it back eventually for that tower in bot lane, but TT, they're just calling FPX at every moment, and honestly, it just feels like FPX are kind of floundering.
Yeah, I mean, just little mistakes here and there coming through to bite them. Summit not really being in a position to fully carry this, but yeah, we'll have to see what happens, because LWX just gets left under tower. And the fact that they've already taken 1 or 2 shots, they heal and everything. Oh my god, that was so much ramp-up damage. LWX just not having the creeps, finding that a little bit unfortunate, and now you're just not in the best of spots. And look, I like the build coming through from Summit. This is something that we've seen a lot in Korean solo queue on champions like Renekton, Aurelia. It's the Blade of the Rune King Sunfire, because it does give you a lot of tankiness for team fights. And you can rely heavily on the Blade of the Rune King for slows. The percentage health damage means you're a massive threat in side lanes. It all just works out super nicely. But it does mean that with the amount of gold that has been given to Summit, not having the massive threat to kind of go, oh, I can actually just, you know, just rip through these turret structures incredibly quickly. You now kind of have to fight as FPX because TT are being able to trade so aggressively against you. And it's just not quite working out as FPX would hope.
Yeah, and as well as that, you got the third dragon of the game, second for TT on their side. So if they get the next one in a minute and a half, they will be getting themselves all the way up on Soul Point. Now, Beishuan looking to try and make something happen. As the TP coming in, that's going to be Hoya joining his team. Hong is probably going to die here, but he can delay a hell of a lot. They're going to use the Vanguard's edge onto Yao Yao, and Hoya gets dragged all the way back in. It's a great Mega Gnar, but not really what you want, and Hong is still going. Eventually will fall down. And now you're going to see now FBX, they don't want to take any more of a fight. So 1 for 1, and FBX is the team behind. You take that.
Yeah, TT, some questionable TPs have definitely been involved here, but we're going.
They're going to go straight in on top of them. It looked like an absolute myriad of people there. Someone has to flash over the wall. And TT, they get themselves a tier 2. It will be traded for a tier 1 in mid lane, but this is kind of TT bringing the fight to FBX.
Yeah, and look, the team fights have not been the strength of TT for a long time. When you look towards how they actually look to set them up, coordinating the plays, and you got to see a little bit there with Hoya going too deep, the rest of the team trying to focus on the Hong and not actually trying to save Hoya or like work with their front line. But it still means that they're able to get this tier 2 and top side. The resetting time for the Dragon as well, as we're just going to follow an auto shot all the way back to Summit.
How far back does it go? I thought it would land near Summit, but does not. It goes right back to Poppy there. But 20 seconds till the next Dragon spawns. FPX do have a TP onto Summit, so he could look to try and TP in here now that he has got the Sunfire cape finished off, or Sunfire Aegis, excuse me, alongside that Warden's Mail. But with the Zonya's picked up here for care, he does have the Gnar ultimate, but he's had that for a while, so he's going to have to get rid of it soon.
Yeah, that's the problem. He slowed in that last fight. Hoya, though, will have that ultimate backup and available, whereas you're still waiting on the Vanguard's edge. The ultimate for the Hecarim has just come through, but care. Fancy Feet keeps him safe. That was a close one, and now Summit TPing into the pit.
He's TPing into the pit, but he has no flash because he lost it in that last play. So now we're going to see the Dragon just kind of procced off a little bit here. Hoya taking a little bit of damage. The Devour has to come out very early. Beishuan, though, has to flash away because he knows that the Onslaught of Shadows is coming in. Hoya gets a great ultimate into the back of the pit. They take out the Tam Kench. Look at Kepler. Look at UCal. They're untouched in this fight. FBX really trying to hard force this one, and TT just say, no, you can't.
Yeah, Hung ends up bringing Summit into the fight with the Abyssal Dive, thinking, hey, look, I'm going to get you back into position for this fight. But only ends up launching himself and Summit with Clid into the waiting arms of Hoya. And now TT move over towards the Baron. TT in our playoff out, looking strong in game number 1.
Yeah, very much so. Just kind of constantly calling FBX's bluff. We thought this was going to be a Summit carry kind of game. He got that solo kill. He was able to make so much work in terms of the top lane happen. But like you said here, they're just not really in a position. That TP is very questionable when Summit doesn't have any support whatsoever. They're on the side of the wall.
Yeah, it was a panic one for Kerr. He thought he needed to be there, but now watch this. Hung, Abyssal dive in, but it just means that he goes in, not even with Summit, which was his plan initially, to bring Summit into the fight, but it meant that it could have even gone more sideways, to be honest, because Hoya hits Mega Gnar at the perfect time, gets that ultimate, and able to take the fight. So now, FPX, a 5,000 deficit. They haven't really got the damage in Summit to carry these fights through anymore, even with the Frozen Heart as well. He's definitely built more for the team fights, but remember what we said. Great peel from TT. Beishuan and Yao Yao have just been playing bodyguard for Kepler. 4-0-5, the 3-item Aphelios is tearing up these fights, and when he only needs one more Inferno Dragon for that soul, Baron is up for him as well. It's so difficult for FPX to get access to this backline.
I mean, look at the items on the two carries of TT, Yukal and Kepler. You've got 3 apiece. You've got the Rabadon's Death Cap here. And honestly, I love this pickup here from the side of Yukal because there is no magic resistance. There's literally a pair of Merc Treads, and that's about it from the side of FBX. So you're not really in a position to try and just, deal with this rise. You still got a stopwatch in the back pocket as well. Using this Baron buff as well. Yes, you get Care on the top side who takes away a tier 2, but you might lose your base all of a sudden as TT just barreled through down the bot side and say, cool, we'll take everything.
I mean, already the inhibitor gone. Now you get the push coming through from Yukal in this mid lane as well. It's been set up beautifully by TT. Now, you do still have to be careful. This is a very short-range composition from TT, and a big ultimate from Clid. Summit on a flank could spell a disaster, and you can see TT hyper-aware of that, just playing this nice and slow.
You got to play it a little bit slower here on the side of on the side of TT. FBX still very much in the hole about it. You've still got about a minute left on this Baron, so as much as the reset came in there for Hoya, he's got a TP there. You've got the Keeper's Verdict, going to be used by both Care and by Beishuan, but I think Care had his eyes on the minions, so just get the minions away from the tower. Clid put himself in a position to maybe look for a flank, and that does deter TT, but 2 minutes time until the dragon spawns, and the base has got to just been pushed in constantly here by the side of TT. They're constantly looking to try and make sure that FBX just don't get a look in to get any vision control.
Yeah, and this is why I like the early reset coming through here from TT. They're like, hey, look, we don't have the vision to actually place into this bottom side of jungle for that dragon. So what we're going to do is reset at 2 minutes. We push in waves. We dip into the jungle here on bottom side with the refresh wards. We then back again at the 50-second mark, and that should give us the timing that we need then to get back into position. You can see here with 30 seconds, they're about to push that mid wave, and then they should be able to lean over, but it actually looks like Yukal a little bit late here, trying to pick up the last few items, I believe, for... actually, I'm not even sure what he's trying to pick up. So yeah, maybe he's just trying to stay out on the map instead. But I want to see them now, as you can look, moving in, establishing vision control, and now you can get a quick reset again coming through from TT, replenish all those wards, and be in prime fighting spot for this dragon.
I mean, you have to fight this as FBX. I don't think you really have a choice in the matter, but it's all about whether or not they can get in onto the river to really look for an actual contest. Right now, you got Summit pushing up in that top side. Not quite got the Rabadon's Death Cap here for Care. He's ever so close. He maybe gets it off to this last wave in the bot side, but it looks like FBX are trying to utilize the fact that they have a TP on Summit to make something happen here on the top side. They're going to be able to push in that wave all the way nearly right up until the inhibitor turret as they start to look to try and back themselves away again. More and more damage coming out for Summit now, or more damage rather than the tankiness, I should say, as you look to try and pick up a wit's end. But now, this is going to be it, Dagda. How do FBX want to try and approach this? Do they look for a front to back, or how are they looking to try and make this fight theirs?
Well, I mean, TT didn't really get the vision control established that we talked about. They got 2 wards very deep in FPX's jungle. One of them cleared out, but they actually don't own river. They don't own FPX's jungle. And Beishuan moved fully up into that top side, so they now are only establishing their control over river. So this actually gives FPX a fighting chance here, but it does need to be a great flank from Care, as you can see him positioned on the side with that Gnar ultimate. Clid following over the top, and they need to kill Kepler off the back of this.
Yeah, All summoners are up and available. Remember, UCal has a Zonya's as well. Deathcap was finished up by Karis. Karis tries to join in with his team. UCal, though, finds Summit, and they're almost getting him taken out. They're going to try and burst this one down. There it is. The Infernal Soul has been locked and loaded. There is a good Moonlight Vigil as he can get the Devourer onto LWX. It's a bit of a long one, though, and Care finds the engage, but I think it might be a little bit too late. Kepler is free hitting. UCal is going to use the Realm Warp to get on top of him as well. 2 kills go over to him, but finally Kepler goes down. LWX is trying his very, very best, but it's just not enough. TT just called the fight. They got the Dragon and FBX. They could not hold the water.
They weren't able to get in position to fight them, and TT strike first in game number 1 of the series. The teleports come through, the damage is there, and just like that, TT will secure themselves game 1.
Game 1 of this best of 3, and again, we talked about how important it is to get this win. You can see Hong trying to just kill off the minions with his Frostfire Gauntlet, just delay for as long as he possibly can. He's doing a pretty decent job, but he finally does go down. I don't know, it's going to be close.
Yeah, I mean, Care and LWX are up. I think you don't have the damage here, so Hung might have done it. They'll get one Nexus tap. Wow. But FPX will hold on. Hero Hung there will keep FPX in this game, but you can already look at where TT are aiming. Baron is up. You are down a support here with Hung dead, and that feels like it's going to be the nail in the coffin. But Beishuan does end up missing the ultimate, which is why FPX decide to go so ham. But a separation here on FPX's side. Great engage here from Care, but watch Hoya. The second that this engage comes through, Hoya goes forward, flashes in to get the counter engage, prevents Summit getting in, stops Clid from being able to follow up on the ultimate, and could have just changed the entire pace of that fight for FPX. But with them being safely able to get out of that, TT recovering the fight thanks to Hoya, and now they get the Baron, and they should, with this push, be able to end the game.
Should be able to end the game, but we've seen some interesting moves from a lot of different LPL teams of all levels and standards. But the Baron has been locked in. They, of course, have the Infernal Soul from that last fight as well. And now we're starting to hit pretty much full items coming out for both teams. Both the AD Carrios waiting for the kind of 4th item. You're nearly on the Banshees here for UCal, who's just been absolutely exceptional. 5-0 and 10. 100% kill participation throughout the entirety of the game. Really has been just exemplary here for the side of TT. And for FBX, honestly, it's a rough one. I feel like they just weren't really able to make the things happen. You can see it was very small little errors like LWX dying to that bot lane dive, not quite able to get the kill onto Hoya when they went for that top lane dive, and it just never really came about. I will say they still have options available to them if they can find picks, but already Beishuan kind of roaming around like he doesn't want to get picked off anyway.
Yeah, I think for FPX, I'm just not a big fan of trying to play topside carry in this meta at the moment, just because it feels like there's so many ways to deny you team fight access, and you can see it, especially with the Poppy and everything like that. I just don't know if it was the best way to try and play the game. Now, though, TT reaping the benefits of those advantages they got bot side, as Hoya goes on to Clid.
They're going to Clid, and Clid is probably going to die here right now. The Devourer comes out. We can see someone trying to go into the backside, but he's already dealing with the Gnar. He's not really getting in a position to try and do this fight, though. Kepler gets feared up, though, but it's just not enough. You can see someone doing so much, but it's all onto the tanks. He eventually takes down Beishuan in a 1v4 situation. I still don't think someone can do it, because while that's been happening, you can see that Kepler is just ending the game. Kepler is done with this one here. He wants to secure the win, and TT will go 1-0 up in the series.
Great play coming through from
Ah,
Ele tava me pedindo em namoro.
ok.
Aceita, amor.
Ué,
Dança, gatinho, dança.
sério isso? Não, é sério. É sério isso? A culpa é tua, cara.
Que isso, cara?
Parou. Não,
A
não.
gente vai casar
Parou.
ano que vem, tá?
Não, parou. Peraí, calma aí.
Vem, pode vir. Vem pro Baianalista, Ranger. Ranger, vem.
cima do meu garoto.
O Corinthians entra para disputar a Champions League
Você perdeu.
Roubando a gente.
can offer that disengage as well. I just think the ability to enable Zeri to go a little bit deeper is going to be much stronger. The problem that I'm seeing on FPX's side as well is that you don't have a huge amount of engage tools. So like a well-placed Bromald can try and get people into a fight, but you're actually going to be looking more to try and see if you can get your poke off with the Zeri and the Talia, and then kind of hoping that TT try to overextend in towards you. Kepler as well, going to be on this Kai'Sa, so you've got a good amount of dive tools. So you've got a good amount of dive tools coming through with the Gnar, the Kai'Sa, the Viego as well on TT side. We're going to have to see if that'll be enough for them to try and take these fights down.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what they're able to kind of work with it, because again, these are the two kind of teams where the OPs and stuff like that can start to be a bit more muddied in the water depending on how you execute on them as well. So we did see Zeri earlier today for the RA versus RNG game, where the Zeri just could not do anything. I feel like if you can replicate that style for your TT, where you're just getting on top of LWX, you're not letting plant his feet and just kite around these different fights, that's where this game can get very, very sketchy for side of FPX. But they've got themselves a Talia. Talia has been showing such a high presence and high mastery as well from so many of our different top mid laners. I think Care, like you mentioned earlier, is one of the best Talias we have in the league. So if he's able to kind of get unlocked, get around this map and make himself known, this is where the game can start to turn into FPX's favor.
It also fits FPX's style a hell of a lot more here, right? Care being able to have an opportunity to roam, Clid on something that can be a bit more aggressive in the early stages. LWX and Hong as well on this later scaling AD carry, and even somewhat having the counter pick is always a little bit worrisome for anyone that goes up against them. So I think this is definitely more of a comfort draft for FPX, and we're just going to have to see if they can try and execute on it.
We will wait and see. No more theories, though, as we jump onto the Rift. We'll have both mid laners taking up the spell book, so curious to see where they end up going. And I love that Care is prioritizing the cleanse over the teleport right now. Recognize he can use the teleport when he needs to, but the cleanse is going to be probably a little bit more valuable, especially at the early stages, the early levels of this mid lane matchup. If Yukal can get down that rune prison alongside something like the root from Beishuan, he is in a hell of a lot of trouble. But we'll have to wait and see. And for FPX, this is, again, a big moment for them. You know, you're looking at being potentially knocked out of playoffs here in terms of the short term, being brought from 9th to 11th. If you lose this matchup, you don't own the head-to-head versus OMG. You lost that bout 2-1, and now you're 1-0 down against TT. We can see Beishuan and Clid kind of just being annoying to each other. Clid kind of seeing if he can take away his own Raptors, but it's going to delay quite a bit. And actually, we're going to see the big Raptors. It's kind of a split. It's like, you can have those three, I'll have these three. But no, you can have the big one instead. It's like trying to change, you know, the chicken nuggets between you and a sibling.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very much of an annoyance for Clid, but should still be able to move it to the spot side. Care taking a lot of damage off this initial early poke, though.
Oh, lordy. That was so smart from Beishuan. Gets the stun out straight away. And Care now, without a flash, he has to be so careful in this mid lane.
Yeah. Is a very much of an annoyance for Clid, but should still be able to move it to the spot side. Care taking a lot of damage off this initial early poke, though.
Oh, lordy. That was so smart from Beishuan. Gets the stun out straight away. And Care now, without a flash, he has to be so careful in this mid lane.
Yeah, especially on that help bar. I mean, flash root from Yukal could be a disaster for Care, especially Beishuan wants to go for repeat. Care obviously having that cleanse, going to come in massively clutch now with the Summer Spell of Splashing Burn. But yeah, you just nice wait in your stage for Beishuan. It's good to see how Beishuan kind of rolling the LPL. Like, you can't always talk about his meteoric rise into FPX. Like, he joined FPX Blaze 2 weeks later. He's on the main FPX roster. A guy that was known as an Echo one-trick in solo queue that hadn't really got used to competitive, but now that he's come across the TT, we can really see him getting used to that competitive style, and now finding a ton of success even on picks that are away from his Echo of home.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing is that you're looking at Beishuan as a potential jungler that can become the catalyst of this team. I think TT were very much looking at a side that were reliant on one player, and a lot of our smaller teams are. You think of Shun on the side of IG, or even, you know, Beishuan. A lot of junglers effectively on the side of Team WE, but it does become very prevalent, I feel like, for a lot of different players, that when you're able to kind of have confidence in your team, and Beishuan does have confidence in his team in this split, they are able to just kind of freely express themselves that little bit more. They're not over-forcing anything. They know they have the power and the presence to be able to make things happen on their own rights.
Well, it looks like Beishuan might try and make a little bit more of a issue here for Clid. Has the push here for Yukal in mid lane. You know that the red side buffs are all up for Clid because you spotted out that the bottom side camp's been taken. It looks like Beishuan will stop off for the scuttle on his way in, but could look for an invade on red buff here.
Will be a little dangerous as he doesn't have priority on top side, but like you said, he has got the mid lane pushing in for himself, and they're actually going to, I think they might go straight back for the for the Raptors again, but Clid this time around recognizing there was a ward right there on his pit, so he's just going to be able to kind of keep himself out of vision. Right now, you still have a whole topside camps here for TT to take. Baseron, though, not to be outdone. We will see Summit getting jumped on here. He doesn't have a lot of mana, and they're going to try and predict the flash. Summit holding onto the trigger finger. I like that.
Yeah, well played by Summit. Cool, under pressure, manages to walk away from this. And also, crucially, will buy time for Clid to try and clear out some of these camps. You have a lot of cap advantage there for Baseron because he was able to steal away some of the early Raptors, CS and mid, getting some of the bot side camps, but he actually hasn't managed to clear out his own top side yet. So having this advantage now, at least when it comes to tempo, with Baseron investing on top side, will mean that Clid gets some time to even up in the jungle match.
Yeah, Summit will have to use his TP to get himself back into lane, but does have a Sheen, so should be doing pretty damn well. And in terms of that particular matchup, Hoya goes back, picks up a Cull, as we see now both junglers. We're going to keep an eye on where Baseron can make things happen. Yukel trying to go toe-to-toe in this mid lane, has used a lot of his mana as Hong has freed himself from the constraints of bot side. And Yukel, you knew he was there, but I don't think he I think he knows that he's going to be under no real threat with the lack of mana here on the Talia.
Yeah, Hung was just there to just help Care push that wave. They're not really sure on what the pathing is from Baseron right now. They weren't sure if he's going to reset, go towards his second camp spawnings, his level 2 camp spawning on bot side, or if instead he was just going to go and try and go for a mid lane play, knowing that Care wanted to reset. But instead, Baseron has now cleared out his camps and will look for a reset. But look at the item difference that you're seeing because Clid has had 2 resets in, cleared the camps with a little bit more experience as well. Means that he is starting to get back into this matchup, although Baseron will at least get a nice little present for himself when he goes home with the amount of gold that he has.
Oh yeah, he's going to be up about, probably try and fully engage on top of this. Baseron trying to see if he can make this one work. There's the Weaver's Wall that you were talking about. Baseron doesn't quite get the execute though, and that's going to be Clid keeping him and his team alive. Double kill coming out for LWX, and maybe even a little bit more. Triple kill to start off this Zeri, and we're going to see just how OP she can be.
Great fight from FPX, utilizing the fact that Care can get down to that fight at the same time as Yukel, but is able to cut off Yukel from being a part of the equation. Now Yukel needs to be very, very careful. FPX will get Dragon, and we'll just back away.
I want to see as well, because Yukel's Realm Warp is down. I want to see what happened there in the replay. Hopefully our observers do end up showing us that, why we didn't see the Rise coming back.
He just got cut off. He just
Yeah.
got cut off, yeah. So that's the thing is, the Realm Warp is great in trying to follow the Weaver's Wall, but the thing is, if you're not able to get fully into the fight, and with good pressure from Care on the Weaver's Wall, you can actually just cut off Yukel from being able to interact. But TT going to respond in kind. If you take Dragon, we could put our pressure topside, and they should get Rift Herald, which honestly might end up being worth it if they can get some gold.
if they can get some gold. And UCal going to get himself a little bit there as they do get the kill off the top side. But Yao Yao does pop down the ultimate to see if he can maybe disengage here. Hong finally has the Glacial Fissure, going to use it immediately. He kind of goes wide, and Yao Yao's very isolated here. He might be run down just a little bit, but they don't land the W there from LWX. While this is all happening, I will say, you're going to say Kepler on the bot side, just getting so much free time.
Yeah, so kill on top for TT, Rift Herald for TT, and the plates on bottom with a massive wave being lost for LWX. Now, he does have 3 kills, which is going to help, but I mean, either way, just great spot to be in. We're getting the stall points here on the play, but you wanted to ask what happened to UCal. Watch where the Realm Warp goes to. We get this fight kicking off, Weaver's Wall comes down, and boom, UCal can't get into the fight. So even though UCal's in the vicinity, he's not adding anything to this fight. The fact that Beishuan goes down as well before he gets the reset is crucial, because getting that health back, starting to get a few more of these abilities out, could have been the difference maker, but the 4 versus 3 is too strong for FPX.
UCal now going to see if he can make something work here onto Care, who does get the flip back already. So there's the hook coming out and a flash as well. So Care does get his summoner used, but that's what it's there for, Dagda.
Yeah, great reactions though from Care. Like, I'm pretty sure Yao Yao wasn't spotted on that ward that's in River. So that was just seeing the anchor come out of the bush, and Care manages to react. But still, even with FPX getting these early leads, you still see TT are trying to fight back. So we have to now look at how FPX are going to try and utilize LWX. This is the man with the advantage for FPX. They need to start playing into him with Care. Start getting these advantages and trying to deny Beishuan with this Rift Herald. Oh, hang on, Sumbus.
Hoya tried to go for a little bit of an all-in there. Sadly, his boulder toss did not quite land onto Summit on the second try, so he's just going to use his ult there to try and just clear off the rest of the wave. But yeah, like you said, I think FBX need to try and get, make use of LWX on this, big power spike that he's on. I will say it is being kind of mitigated right now because Kepler got so many plates on bot side and so much free time as well. He's actually gone up and got himself his Kraken Slayer already, so it is a bit of a mismatch at the moment, but LWX should not be too far away as he did go for the Berserker Greaves first.
Yeah, it's the Berserker Greaves first, and LWX just hasn't reset, so we'll take the tower plates, and won't actually get to reset for a little while, so maybe if TT can make a play on bot side here, this is where they could have an advantage, and UCal should have push in mid, but Beishuan is moving into the mid to just try and help with the push, but will be spotted by Care.
Yeah, will be spotted, and maybe trying to move this back up towards that top side. You do see Clid here. Actually goes for a reset, so he's not going to be here should Summit get caught out. You will have a flash available here, but there's the Realm Orb coming out. He does have the leap strike there. There's UCal trying to just burn him down. They will get the Mega Gnar over the side, and they will stun him down and take him out. UCal basically tanking up everything there, and will use the heal from the Summoner Spellbook to make sure he stays fairly safe.
Question mark, though, is what do FBX try and do in kind? The answer is not too much, although they may actually try and turn this around on Beishuan on the top side if the Rift Tower goes down, but TT just going to back away. You had the reset coming through from LWX and Hong, so they actually weren't in a position to try and follow up.
Oh, look at the mid from the mid lane. Care. It's going to be able to try and maybe use a Weaver's Wall here, and has got a cleanse, but not quite able to land the seismic shove onto the damage. So Hoya will still flash, but they do not get anything else out of the play. So now with Dragon spawning in 50 seconds, we're going to see the replay or the reset coming out here from TT. They have got themselves a Rift Herald. They need to drop it pretty soon as we can see flash from Hung as he knew LWX was on the side.
Yeah, so a little bit sloppiness coming through from TT here. Like, Hoya thinking he was out of vision, but not remembering that someone had ward or leap strike to a ward. So knew where exactly he was, and that's why he had to burn his flash. UCal as well, not really considering that, hey, there's push in bot side, Hung can roam. So starting to see some cracks for TT, but this is what I wanted to see exactly from TT, utilizing any sort of pressure to try and get the bot tower and get some gold onto Kepler, but FPX are in a position to respond. Will it get the charge? It will. The tower will go down, and crucially, it looks like Kaisa got an auto attack onto the tower, so gold as well going over to Kepler. Dragon, though, here for FPX, and I think TT will just give this one. They're happy that they managed to sneak away that tower.
Yeah, got the tower, got the full plates as well, so just keep the gold almost dead even in this game. Actually gives TT a tiny little bit of an advantage, but We said it's all about where you're able to kind of use those advantages, who's those advantages on. You can see on FBX, it's very much on LWX, but on the side of TT, it's got to be on UCal. He's the one with 2 kills. He's got himself his Luden's Tempest already. As we can see, Hoya trying to go aggressive onto Summon. We've been looking at this matchup of the Gnar versus the Jax pretty much all day today. And Dagda, I'm curious about your thoughts in here, because we are seeing the Jax as a quote-unquote pseudo counter to the side of the Gnar, but the Gnar seems to be doing semi-all right. So tell me what this matchup is supposed to do.
Yeah, the big one is when you start to hit this point. Level 9 hit for Summit, and also having that Divine Sunder. This is where this matchup starts to change around, because you've just got a hell of a lot more all-in potential, and the trading pattern for Summit where you leap strike in, auto, counter strike becomes way more difficult for Hoya to deal with. So this is where it becomes a bit easier for Summit, and now you start to outscale. But the question is, what's happening here for FPX?
Well, what is happening? We're going to see the Weaver's Wall there as Beishuan gets himself the hell out of dodge. There was a hell of a lot of members of FBX corralling on his location. But it's a Weaver's Wall down, so that's not going to be much else used out of it. You got a Heartbreaker out of Beishuan, that's about it. So these are small little moments here where it does kind of delay the tempo here from FBX.
It's huge. I mean, you've just used the Weaver's Wall to try and pick the jungler before Rift Herald, but you don't actually get to connect with it. So instead now, Beishuan going to move over. Will Spot Summit is in the vicinity, but not having Weaver's Wall to try and shut this one down should mean TT get this Rift Herald uncontested.
Yeah, pretty much. We will see them, though, going from bot lane to mid lane as they go from a reset, but it's a little bit slow for my likings, and I think they're going to be a little bit late on the play. I will say that, though, they are trying to commit quite a lot to it. The Rift Herald goes down and is secured, as TT should be able to just kind of get themselves out, and this would have been a fantastic moment, Dagda, for a Weaver's Wall to cut off and escape, but you don't have it available.
Yeah, it was a good attempt from Care, but unfortunately just not able to connect. And once more, though, we're kind of seeing that, you know, FPX not getting the chance to play around LWX, but they want to change this fact here, as Kepler could be caught.
He could be caught, but you got Beishuan and Yao Yao now finally here. Now Hong in a little bit of a bad situation. They will get the stun down onto Clid and clear out the wave. Still have Care off to the side. As you can see on the minimap there, UCal's just hovering towards this top side. So good moves here from TT. They're not only answering for FBX, but they're also threatening on other sides of the map. So they are just kind of coming out ahead in general when it comes to this mid game. As I say that, Summit goes very aggressive. Hoya thought about going back in, but already UCal's starting to do some significant damage.
Yeah, and UCal should be able to push in on this top side. Fine, now you have to send Care bot to collect that massive wave that TT had pushed in, which means TT now get to push in mid, get to kind of pick up their spot in the mid lane, and continue to keep control here.
Yeah, he's going to be in a lot of trouble, and he is just going to die. Had not got flash, needed someone to get to stand behind him, but just not able to be in range. That's a bit of a big mistake there from the FBX support. That's going to open up this mid lane. That means they can't look for pressure around this this river. And honestly, right now, it's starting to feel like TT, they're turning the tides again.
Yeah, TT are just doing a really good job of abusing their globals, and now Clid is gone.
Clid, he has to use the Crescent Guard to try and keep himself alive and safe, but you can get the damage mitigated, but you cannot stop the CC as they get on top of him. They're going to be a flash from LWX as Rise does go down. Finally, Summit can come in here as Hoya does go down. That's a good trade back here, and Summit's not done just yet. He's got himself 2 kills, looking for more, but very difficult to do it at this stage in the game, but Summit already starting to come online.
Yeah, these last few passage of plays, TT have just been doing an stellar job of abusing the fact that that Weaver's Wall wasn't up. They create that big wave bot, cares to go and deal with it, doesn't have Weaver's Wall, so can't leave mid for a while. You've got UCal has been playing top and between mid consistently, but they overextend that bit too far, and now FPX fight back instantly. Summit should get this bot lane tower. Zeri should get mid lane tower. And now, with a minute until the dragon as well, suddenly, this is where FPX rip back tempo advantage in their favor. We'll catch it here in the replay. So, UCal trying to use the fact that the wave is on top side to go, right, I can realm warp in. We've got the numbers advantage. But Clid survived for so long here. Great Weaver, Seismic Shove as well, means that they're in trouble. And Summit just abandons the top wave. He's like, look, if I can pick up some kills here, that's far more important. And it ends up just being a disaster for TT as they overextend for the pick.
Well, 26 seconds, it is a pretty much dead even game. It is a Cloud Soul, but FBX are 2 dragons away, so they would love to get this one there and maybe set a 5-minute timer. We will see a TP coming in. That's going to be Hoya joining in on the action as both sides are starting to roam themselves up. You've got 2 items onto your Zeri. You have 2 items onto your Jax, or nearly 2 items onto your Jax, excuse me, as Care starts to get pushed away by Beishuan. Dragon has spawned, and FBX, they've got someone on a flank.
LWX needs to carry this. If he falls, there is no hope for FPX, but he is in a good spot here, and TT will be looking to see if they can set up this monstrous engage with Hoya, the point and click from Yao Yao, try and enable Kepler to carry through and beat that dive in the back, but Care. He's caught.
He's caught. He's dead. He got the cleanse, but he's going to go into stasis. Yukal is there to put down the last of the CC. Now you're going to try and make this a 5v4 in favor of TT. FBX, though, Kepler in a lot of trouble. And you can see now they're jumping straight on top of the resets are coming in. They've caught LWX as a triple out of the same fight comes out straight away. Summit may be big, but he's not big enough. A quadra for Beishuan. And TT have taken over this game.
Care isn't even the best Talia in this game. Beishuan with the seismic shove hits 3 straight into the Heartbreaker and tears apart FPX. Beishuan with a quadra kill gets the dragon. That's what TT
for this game. Care walled in the work ground to be able to kind of push down the rocks. It just makes it so much more different of a fight. And even without the Talia, it looked like FBX might have been able to turn it, but great play coming out from TT, and now they've got 2 items basically across the board. They're trying to threaten now towards this top side to make sure they can guarantee the tier 1, and they've got themselves a 2,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and 2 items on towards Beishuan means he's a serious threat. Having that Kempunk sword is such a great addition, super good value for money, and with the amount of healing you're going to see coming through from Jack Zinzao, Zeri as well, going to be an incredibly strong pickup. We'll have to see though how TT are going to try and keep themselves in check here, because Summit, he's going to have control over the side lane. That's unfortunately just the way that this matchup goes. FPX still at least pushing in and getting some control over the river, and it looks like Yukal, because he doesn't have the realm warp, can't really try and contest on side lanes for the moment, but that should change the second he gets that realm warp back up and available, and that's where maybe we can start to see TT pushing these waves in, establishing vision control on top side, trying to look for picks, trying to see if they can use Yukal's opportunity on the realm warp to move around. So just have to be so careful that FPX aren't setting up for some sort of pick with Care to separate TT.
Kind of separation in these fights, like I said, better off for TT. They can get those segmented fights coming in for themselves, but we'll have to wait and see. We're coming up now to 22 minutes. It's a 2 dragons to 1, 2,000 gold lead for TT, and 2 turrets to 2. So we're still waiting to see that top tier 1 go down. Yukal should be able to take it pretty much on the next push or 2, but he is still starting to stack up very, very nicely. I think this Rise really is starting to look like a pick for TT that can just work so well. And you just forget when he's outside of the meta how much damage he does and how much he's able to kind of facilitate for his team, working towards that death cap, already starting to be a big menace in these team fights. And the point and click CC is just so powerful. So for FBX, I want to see them maybe be a bit more creative, not looking to try and also just straight up, you got 3 kills on the LWX at the start. He's now 4-1-3, still doing fine, but very much not the kind of overtaking carry performance we expect from this caliber of AD carry on this caliber of a champion.
But that's the thing, these haven't really been team fights. This point and click CC from Rise, from the Nautilus, works better in skirmishes. And that's what has been playing here for TT. They catch out Care, they're forcing uneven fights. You're not actually getting to fight front to back styles. Like, that's actually where FPX, in theory, can actually try and play out. But again, not really being able to engage on their own terms because, you know, Clade and Hong, not exactly great engaged champions, and now they're getting engaged on.
Yeah, they're getting engaged on. They put down the exhaust. They even get the Heartbreaker in. He survives for a little bit, but only to delay the inevitable. Now 40 seconds without Summit. Yes, he does have a TP, but look at the wave state stack. That they're in a perfect position for TT to force this.
You still have to be careful. Clit is here, though. Can look for the steal. May not be the 50-50 you want to start, but TT, they burger flipped these before.
They burger flip these all the time because they are the masters of the flip. They're going to try and go for this one, but they shall make themselves a gourmet burger. They will use Hoya off the back of it. As you can see, LWX, these low health bars, but the Realm Warp brings everybody out. Yao Yao trying to see if he can run away. They're going to try and catch out Kepler, who does a great utilization of the ultimate and the flash. He's still running away from this one here. There's going to be a Glacial Fissure to maybe catch people out. But TT, they get themselves their flip. They get 3 members out, and they got what they came for.
Now they're going to try and contest on towards this dragon, though. It will be dragon number 3 in 30 seconds. TP available for Hoya. Beishuan will be a little bit late. Pushing mid, establishing vision in towards this river. It's going to be crucial, but we'll see this here. Like, so incredibly close. This is where I always get nervous with TT. They have no problem trying to flip these. They were hoping that Hoya would be able to go over the wall and then keep Clid out of the pit, so you end up in a much better spot, but not able to do so. The Realm Warp doesn't save as many people as they're hoping, but it does mean that 3 will survive.
Here we go. We're going to go for another fight right now, Dagda. TT got themselves back out onto the map. You can see Beishuan moving himself around at Summit, looking to try and go for that flank, but now knows he's been spotted, so doesn't want to go for that fight just yet. Look at the waves again in mid lane for TT. In top lane, they've got the pressure around the map. They're not under time limits, really, to try and make this one work. And again, it's not even soul just yet. This is just for soul point for FBX.
And put Summit in a good flank spot. This could be the engage that they're looking for. Remember, that's the crucial part of this plan for FPX. And TT are struggling. Hoya now getting his Narbar up.
Yeah, getting his Narbar ult, has already used his flash to try and make sure he doesn't get caught by a seismic shove, and just killed off straight away. They've brought the Jacks away, but this is just kind of sloppy coming out from TT. They weren't quite sure where they wanted to go, and I think Hoya just gets a little bit too comfortable with where he was positioned. Doesn't really have the resistances at this stage of the game to make that kind of a play.
But that's the problem. Nar is so reliant on that bar, and because Hoya was dead and he'd only TP'd in, they didn't actually have anywhere they could try and stack it up. No wards, no mid-wave, no anything for Hoya to try and get into a position where he could engage. So with that, FPX will get third dragon. They get some kills. They don't get Baron off of TT because Hoya, of course, didn't have it. And looks like the other person that has Baron is actually going to utilize it to nab himself an out mid-tower.
Yeah, get that more open pressure. As you can see, the Realm Warp coming out. Gonna have the seismic shove come in, but Yukal, very nicely done, does keep himself safe and get himself an objective. So really nicely done here by Yukal again in this game. We talked about it in game 1, how he's just been kind of going from strength to strength, really finding his own footing on this team. And honestly, it does feel like even a little bit behind on this game, he has been able to just make the plays matter.
Let's see though, because again, this is such an incredibly close game. 3 items already for the Zeri on that bottom side. 6, 1, and 4. LWX is the carry for FPX. He needs to be the one that's enabled in the team fights. And thus far, he's been doing an okay job of trying to get in position, but FPX haven't been able to set up properly for him to really take off. Whereas when you look across at TT, they have great dive potential. If they can get Yao Yao to get that point and click CC onto LWX, dive in with Beishuan, Hoya, find these moments. But TT, they're not even worried about trying to find fights at the moment. Yukal has just been such a threat around the map right now.
And again, Yukal just roaming so quickly. He went back after taking the mid-tier 2, TP's bot lane and says, cool, you're committing for a tier 1, I get a tier 2. And that's just how this game is going to go. It is 10-10 in kills, 3 dragons to 1 in favor of FBX, and 5 turrets to 3 in favor of TT. So there's always been a reaction from the side of TT. They've always gotten a trade-off as the death cap finally comes in, and a third item, Kepler, coming in now with the Infinity Edge. So they've got some 3-item carries that are going to do some serious damage.
FPX going to push up mid lane though. Summit pushing in a bot side. Summit still has much more control than Hoya does, but TT are just collapsing.
They're looking to try and find out Yukal, but look at Kepler on the back side of this one here. Yukal is putting out some serious damage here onto Care, and he takes him out in a 4v1. He's actually taking them out. He's putting in the work, and he eventually goes down, but that was huge from the side of the TT mid laner. Now someone's trying to come in on here. Yao Yao will try and get himself away from this one here, but Kepler can still do some decent work. It's kind of a fight between 2 different sides. Both these solo carries being taken out here by TT and FBX, as it's a 2 for 2.
2 for 2. Kepler managing to take out someone on one side. Beishuan trying to play decoy on the opposite, but doesn't have the damage with LWX's heal to take down the FPX AD carry. So all said and done, great turnaround from Yukal, who just barely got caught out. But look at the damage that this Rise is churning out. You'll see it here. I think Yukal, just barely gets spotted on the blue, tries to run for the hills. Care comes in thinking, oh, I'll be all right, but 2-level advantage for UCal with all the plays that have been made, and that damage is insane from UCal.
And then we can see the rest of the fight come in here. Summit kind of goes into a 1v3, and then so does Beishuan. So it ends up not really, again, being not a full 4v4 or 5v5. It ends up just being a 1v3 on two different sides. So Hoya almost going down. It would have been great for FBX to be able to make that one happen, but Kepler able to take that kill. And we see the Realm Orb coming into the mid lane as LWX has just been caught out. He flashes away, but he has no heal now, as Yao Yao is just trying to keep everyone away from the side of FBX. But TT, they've already not really got anyone to follow up on top of this one. UCal actually got caught in the minions, so he couldn't walk forward and had to clear them.
That is heartbreaking for TT. You can see them trying to collapse onto LWX, who was that bit overextended, but Zeri's so slippery, and now a big engage tool down with Yao Yao gone. Baron in 6 seconds. Beishuan got the better of clearing that last smite. He's going to need to try and do it again here.
He's going to have to try and go for it now as FBX start this one off. They will absolutely melt this Baron. You can see it going down so quickly. Beishuan finds himself on the backside of the pit, puts down a ward, and you can see FBX, they don't want to flip it. They don't want to go back to spring of 2022 as they can finally look for the fight. UCal, the big down.
He's going to need to try and do it again.
He's going to have to try and go for it now. As FBX starts this one off. They will absolutely melt this Baron. You can see it going down so quickly. Beishuan finds himself on the backside of the pit, puts down a ward, and you can see FBX, they don't want to flip it. They don't want to go back to spring of 2022 as they can finally look for the fight. UCal, the big damage dealer, the only real threat to LWX, has been taken out of this fight. Hoya has nowhere to go in his mini Gnar form, and Kepler's going to have to try and run away as well. Heartbreaker by Beishuan to try and keep himself alive and healthy, but it looks like it's going to be a trade for the Baron back down towards his bot side because the Dragon Soul's coming up.
Yeah, you've now got no ultimate on Beishuan, though, no flash. Beishuan can't contest this. TT stopped the Baron, but will give the Cloud Soul over to FPX. And honestly, with the way that this game has been going, being able to hold on to, well, try and deny the Baron could have been nice, but with the kills going across into UCal and Hoya, FPX will turn back over towards that objective regardless.
Yeah, they're going to try and get both sides of this coin as they can maybe look for a steal from Beishuan, but no Heartbreaker, no flash, no real chance in hell to make that one work. 9-1-6 here for LWX on this Zeri. We talked about the power pick already starting to go up to full build. Probably will have it as we can look at this fight now here, because UCal just straight up gets caught out. You can see now Hong just trying to keep everyone away, but Clid very well played just to get himself on top of the carry.
Yeah, 2 autos with the 3 Talon Strike, and then flashes with the Audacious Charge to get the knock up instantly. Doesn't give a chance for UCal to respond, and that will be at least 2 kills going over towards FPX alongside the Dragon Soul and Baron. This is where we got to see now what FPX can do, because it's a lot easier now for someone to try and be a threat in one of these side lanes. It may easier for KR and LWX to start looking at these towers as well, because those auto attacks incredibly short range on both these champions.
Yeah, I will say, you can see UCal now pushing on the top side. Does not have TP at the moment, still sitting on the cleanse, so not quite able to kind of go for something there. But now Summon, he's going to be the target. They don't have any real flash to get him away. He will have the counter strike and get himself over with the leap strike as well. But you've left your bot side. They could look to try and end the game because someone has TP.
Yeah, no, the 3 sets will come through. They'll lose their bot tower, but I think it's a good call from TT. They kind of knew that this was going to be inevitable. They don't have great wave clear on their side, so not being able to clear out the wave, they decided to try and make the pick happen and force FPX to play on a defensive footing, but not able to do so, and FPX are still here.
Yao Yao got separated off alongside Beishuan. It's kind of a 2v2 on either side, but LWX is just too big. He's taking on so much on this team. You can see now with someone TPing in, they don't have a wave right now, so a little bit overzealous, as eventually that one does go down. LWX is just tanking the turret because he does not care, and he is full build right now. He's got himself his Rune on Hurricane and a GA, so you're not going to have to kill him once. You're going to have to kill him twice as Hoya gets caught out. He has flash, eventually gets to use it and keeps himself alive, but now you need UCal and you need Kepler to try and make this one work for your team, but there's just too much damage. There's just too much going on. FBX are tearing through them. Absolutely nothing you can do as TT, and we're going to a game 3.
Hoya will fall, as will the Nexus alongside Kepler. FBX pushes all the way.
And off the back of some really nice play on that bot side, LWX really did take the carry mantle that you gave to him, Dagda, and just ran with it at full speed in